Lockdown. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. Lockdown. This is the Rob Brown Show. Get Rob.
Friday, gotta get down on Friday.
Yep. Sure do. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in the Rob Brown Show on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. Happy Friday. Welcome to the show. Great to have you. Big show lined up for you today as we head into the football weekend. And also NBA weekend, NHL weekend, soccer weekend, big weekend, good weekend that we've got to get into, a ton to talk about. I am Rob Brown, the great Malonzo on the other side of the metaphorical glass this AM. So I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I watched about 3 minutes of this Thursday night football contest last night in the first half, and I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm good. This is the most boring ass football game I've ever watched in my life.
And then a scoring explosion happened in the second half.
Explosion's a strong word.
Comparatively
to
the first half play.
Comparatively,
yeah.
Comparatively is a good
not
word.
The outcome you wanted, but you know.
No, I didn't. No. Stop doing this thing where you think I'm actively rooting against Aaron Rodgers. I don't care. It was a boring ass football game. So
we're not going to do the real Aaron Rodgers showed up last night, and now it's
really right. He had 32 passing yards in the first half. 32 passing yards in the first half.
Right, but we're talking about the second half.
No, we're talking about the game. Okay. And the game itself got, I guess, good in the fourth quarter, I guess.
So that was just an average catch by...
No, Garrett Wilson's catch was spectacular.
Okay, all right.
But again, are we going to try to write off 32 passing yards out of the Packers and what was it, 7.1 touchdown of scoring in the first half? And we're going to go, the game was good because of a Garrett Wilson catch?
You're pointing all that out. You need to point out how bad Houston was on the other side.
Houston was ass too. That's why I said the game was boring and not the Jets were boring. If I was just the Jets, I'd have said the Jets were boring. This game actually was ugly.
Did. Yeah, well, it was. And NFL games are like that.
That's all I said. Stop trying to make it more than it was. I said the game sucked, and it did.
I mean, you could have just went, nah, you're wrong, and moved on. I mean, you could have did that.
No, I know that. I know that. But you tried to make it a Rob versus Aaron Rodgers thing when it wasn't. It was a Rob versus this game thing.
So conniving or clever to do such a thing. That's to talk radio.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
It's not me.
Don't get me wrong. I don't like Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that
yeah, I think we all know that.
I don't like Aaron Rodgers, but this wasn't an Aaron Rodgers thing. This was just let me put it this way.
Thank goodness he got that left or that right leg in too, because he double tapped the left. We know that's not a touchdown.
No. Two foots does not equal 2 feet. It's got to be 2 feet. 2 foots.
It's got to be one on each leg.
Yeah, 2 foots. One shin counts, though, and that's the good news.
What if you have 2 left feet?
That's an expression.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
But couldn't you say, hey, I got 2 left feet?
I don't think you're playing NFL wide receiver if you literally have 2 left feet, and I don't think, I can't boogie is going to earn you any extra credit with the stripes. Last night for Halloween, because I am now 40-ish.
No, you're not. You keep saying you're 40. It's going to hit you when you actually are.
I'm close enough to count.
All right.
I've rounded
I'm
up.
not going to say that I'm 60 because I'm not, and I'm not rounding up to that.
The lady and I last night, instead of, Halloween costume partying late into the evening, we went and we watched a string quartet play an homage to horror movies and television shows and classical music. It was phenomenal. It was a tremendous event. I enjoyed it a lot. Well, as we get to the event, we got there a little bit early. Because when you go,
is this black tie?
It was not. It was not. In fact, there were a couple of people there in costume.
So it wasn't a dressed up kind of evening.
No, like I wore pretty much the same thing, different black shirt, but pretty much what I'm wearing today.
Allegedly.
Right? And jeans. Like it was a nice little event. It wasn't over the top, but it definitely wasn't like it was definitely more than shorts and a t-shirt.
Oh, you've got to do that hairstyle.
I can't do that.
Sure you can.
If I could, I would. So we went to see this. We went to see this string quartet play some music, and we got there. We got there a little bit early because when you go to fancy music,
that's what old folks do. They get there early.
No, when you go to fancy music shows, once the performance starts, the doors are closed. They will not let you in if you're late because out of respect to the musicians and the focus they've got to have.
I do appreciate you pointing this out to the lessers such as myself have never been to that sort of fancy thing where they.
I'm just trying to help.
I saw it on what was it, Spider-Man 2?
Trying to get you cultured.
Where they closed the doors and wouldn't let Peter Parker in.
Yep.
So it's that sort of thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Very fancy. Once the performance starts, you can't go in. So we got there a little bit early. And we were having a glass of wine and waiting for the show to start. And I pulled out my phone and was checking, what scores are happening, what's going on in the NBA, yada, yada, yada. And one of the things that I happened to notice was that the 2-6 Jets were favored in this game over the 6-2 Texans. And I was like, not favored, like 2.5 points worth of favored. At home. I'm like, what?
And Vegas was right.
Yes, they were. This is why, as someone who does a nationally syndicated sports gambling show every Saturday from noon to 4 on the BetQL network, Bet for the Cycle with me and former Major League Baseball player Cody Decker. This is why I tell people, if you are looking up and down at lines or scores or props or whatever, and you see a number that doesn't click, that doesn't make sense, do not automatically think, oh, Vegas got something wrong. They didn't. They know what they're doing. All right. Jets favored the 2-6 Jets off a 5-game losing streak, favored over the 6-2 Texans, who ended Anthony Richardson's career-ish last week. I'm like, what is going on here? So we go we go enjoy the show. It's from like 6:30 to 7:30. We get done. We snag some dinner downtown, and then we head back to the house. We got there, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes after kickoff, about midway through the first quarter, and I turn it on, and I watched, like I said, I watched about 8 minutes, and when even Michaels and Herb Street are like, you can tell they're doing everything in their power to try to make this interesting, and it's just not. So my question is, we've kind of grown to expect that out of the New York Jets. They're not good. Is this going to be a trigger for a turnaround? I don't know. Are we going to see a new Jets team? Is this a Jets team that's about to run the table? Let's not go bananas just yet. But my question is, what the hell is going on with the Houston Texans after this game? Because CJ Stroud was 11 of 30 last night. Like, he was not good last night. And don't get me wrong, the Jets have one of the better, on paper, the Jets have one of the better defensive backfields in the NFL. This is why the Jets being 2-6 is so damn shocking. The caliber of offensive talent that they have, combined with a good, on paper, defense for the New York Jets, that's why the story of the Jets is so interesting, is so shocking. The story is so shocking primarily because there's really no reason for them to be 2-6. And this is why folks have been looking to blame Aaron Rodgers or blame Woody Johnson or blame Robert Saleh, who is gone, or blame Nathaniel Hackett or blame whoever the hell they can put blame on, because there's little to no excuses for the Jets to be now 3-6, but have been 2-6 and on a 5-game losing streak going into this game. There's no reason for it. But there's also no reason for the Texans to have looked as awful as they looked last night. I mean, how does a divisional leader play that poorly? I don't understand. And again, everybody, this is one of those times that as an analyst, you kind of want to look around and you kind of want to say, hey, look, it's one game. Don't overreact. No knee-jerk reaction. You are not as good as your best game, and you're not as bad as your worst game. You're somewhere in the middle of that. And I absolutely believe that to be true. This is, Zoe, I would say, the worst game that Houston Texans have played so far this year. Not their first loss. They dropped one to the Vikings. But at the time, the Vikings were a wagon at that point.
I was going to say, I think the Vikings loss was worse. I know if you look at record-wise, you're like, yeah, but the way they played last night, from what I've seen, and I watched more than you did, was not good. It may be they just weren't up for their opponent type thing, or maybe it was just a bad game. I don't know, but they didn't look good last night.
They looked awful last night. No, they looked good. They looked bad. They looked actively like a bad football team last night, and I don't get it. You did watch more than me because of how bad they looked, them and the Jets, but how bad they both looked in this game. I watched, 8 to 15 minutes in the second quarter, mid first quarter into the second quarter, and I was like, this is bad football, right? And now, so that we're clear,
I watched the entire second quarter up to halftime. So there we go.
And I'll put it this way. Those of you that follow me on social media, you are well aware that Rob Brown does not have any issue staying up late and watching football. As bad of a decision as it is, I said I'm 40 years, I'm actually 22 years old and I look like this because that's the amount of sleep I get. I know I'm killing myself slowly. It is what it is. It's for your entertainment. You're welcome. I don't mind staying up late on a Thursday night to watch a little late night Thursday night football. In fact, I'm a big fan. I do it with regularity. I was asleep out like a light at like 9:30 last night, 9:45 last night. Gone. Just out. Got home, laid down, turned on the Thursday night football, and I'll stay up in bed. Like, I'll lay down, I'll turn on the Thursday night football, I'll watch it, I'll stay up and finish the game. And then the minute the game's over, I'll turn the TV off and I take it to sleep.
Difficult for me because Al Michaels puts me to sleep, and it's just so bad.
You hate Al Michaels.
No, I mean, back in the day, like in the 70s and 80s, he was pretty good. But you know how long ago that was?
I do. Very long time ago. Somebody pointed out, somebody gave me, how there's those movie comparisons where they're like, if you remade Back to the Future and Marty McFly in 2024 went back the same amount of years he went back to the future, you would go back to 1995 right now, or 1994 right now. You know how depressing that is? I vividly remember 1994. I was old enough to be creating memories in 1994 that I still have. That hurts my feelings.
Well, when you reach a certain age, you no longer vividly remember, so you'll be all right.
Yeah, I'll lose it at some point. So I got home, I put on the pajamas, I laid in the bed, turned on the TV, watched about 8, 10, 12 minutes of this game, and went, nah, I'm all right. And I do want to point out, Rob Brown is a fan of defensive football games. This game was not two defensive teams slugging it out. This was two bad football teams. And again, the narrative here was, this is a bad football team in the Jets that has no reason to be bad. And this is a good football team in the Texans that is just playing really bad. So, I mean, there's narratives here that you can discuss. There's narratives here that you can discuss. Storylines you can discuss. Are the Jets turning it around? Has something happened to the Texans, right? Like, did something go wrong? Is there enough tape now? Did something about the offense around CJ Stroud get figured out the Jets took advantage of? There's all these questions that we can ask and narratives we can take away from this game moving forward in the NFL season. But, God, it was a bad football game. Like, it was just it. And you know me, there are very few bad football games that I won't watch and be able to say, well, I'm entertained by this. Even if this team's bad, I'm enjoying this running back, or, this offensive line is dominating, or this defense is lights out, or there's this or there's that, or that player or that coach. I mean, there were zero redeemable qualities from that game last night, at least while I was awake. You had you had a couple of spectacular catches because Devontae had one on the sideline. And there was some drama because he caught one on the sideline, landed on his head, had to go get checked out by the independent neurologist before he was allowed to return. And so there was a question about that. There was some drama there. You had Conklin drop the ball on the one going into the end zone. Like, these things aren't, as a football fan, entertaining. I mean, they're a little bit dramatic, sure, but like, God, that game was just bad. That game was, I'm going to sleep bad. Turn the TV out right off. There's bad games that I will shut my eyes, but I'll leave the TV on and I'll listen to the games as they progress because, you know, maybe something sparks my attention before I fall asleep. All of a sudden there's a record that's on the table, or a team that was playing terrible first half football has suddenly found something, or, you know, there's a big hit or a big injury or whatever that drags me back into the game before I drift off into Neverland. TV went straight up off, power button off last night in the dark at 9:25. I'm out by 9:40. Maybe that's the cure to my mild yet clinically diagnosed insomnia. Maybe I just need to start DVRing the Jets. Maybe I just need to save the recording of this game from last night. And, you know, if I'm having trouble falling night, maybe I just put this game back on.
Or just the dulcet tones of the guy who was calling the game.
Why do you hate Al Michaels so much?
Because he's like Pat Summerall level. At the end of Pat Summerall, I mean, he's right there where it's just it's not good. It's really not.
I mean, he's not Al Michaels circa 92. He's not calling the Miracle on Ice
so bad
anymore.
for Herb Street. I really do.
I think Herb Street's loving his life. I love Herb Street's life. Are you kidding me? College game day on Saturday, college football on Sunday night, Monday night football, Thursday night football. Like, Kirk Herbstreit's living the best damn life you could ask for. Are you kidding me? And he gets to travel with Ben. What a ride. I think this is Ben's last season on the road, though, he said.
He is I just wonder what kind of care he has to help give during, you know, breaks and stuff for Al. Go get his drinks for him.
I
help
so
him to the
thought
bathroom.
you were going to talk about Ben, and then you said, no, not the dog.
No.
Al.
Yeah.
I think Al's doing just fine, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
I think Al's doing just fine.
Uh-huh.
I think Al's okay. Put it this way. There was a point at the end of the ride. I was a big Vern Lundquist guy growing up. Remember Vern calling SEC on CBS? Big Vern Lundquist guy.
Like Jowls.
Oh, yeah. He was a bulldog.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Big Vern Lundquist guy. Loved Uncle Vern. And there was a point probably 5 or 6 years ago where Vern just wasn't the same guy anymore. Right? Like, was messing up players' names. He was getting tricked by the offenses. Like, they'd run a play action, and he's calling the running back who definitely did not get the ball. Hands it off to Michaels, runs it up the middle, bounces off a linebacker, gain of 6, and the quarterback's like 10 yards away scrambling for his life down the sideline, and Vern's just lost, and you can hear Gary like, nope. I don't think Al's quite there yet. Quite there. He's at least getting, like, players' names correct still. So you got to give him that. All right, we got to take a break. We got a lot to get to. Coming up this morning at 8:40, we got Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast live, 9 o'clock. Kevin and John from the Moving the Chains podcast will run you through the entirety of the high school football weekend. Coming up at 7 a.m., my recorded interview with Marty Smith. Didn't get a chance to run it yesterday. We'll run it today. That's coming up in just a little bit longer than 40 minutes from now. Good conversation with Marty Smith from ESPN. I enjoyed it a lot. I think you will as well. That's all coming up on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Zach, we learned earlier this week you cannot double tap one foot. You have to get both feet.
He's being sarcastic, I believe.
I don't know. I don't know how to detect sarcasm.
Take your glasses off.
That's not it. Listen, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you today. Today sucks and I'm not in a good mood.
Yeah, I've already seen.
Today sucks and I'm not in a good mood. So the glasses stay on just so I'm not evil-eyeing everybody the whole time.
As far as I know, has nothing to do with me.
It's nothing to do with Alonzo.
Yet.
I will confirm.
Yet.
So far, it has. It has
There's
nothing to
still
do
a lot
with
of show
Alonzo.
to go.
Zach, don't do that. Oh, well, actually, you're playing the Panthers. Do that.
Yeah, that's a good move. Although, if something should happen and the Panthers beat the Saints, Rob will call off Monday.
No, he won't. No, he won't. No one has banged that drum harder than me. If the Panthers beat the Saints, there's a weird part of me that will be happy about it because my thought would be there's no world that Dennis Allen survives losing to the Carolina Panthers. Right?
Thought they were
Somebody
bad.
tell me I'm right.
I think you'll be okay. Bryce Young's still a quarterback for the Panthers, so you'd be all right.
Yes, because Bryce Young's the only problem for that football team.
Uh-huh. You'll be celebrating when he throws 3 interceptions Sunday. You'll be jumping up, popping the jersey. And the fact that you defend him every single week will be the furthest from your mind.
Well, there is a
And after your celebration, you'll come in and say it wasn't his fault.
there is obviously a clear distinction between Saints fan Rob Brown and on the radio Rob Brown. I am capable of taking off my fan hat and being down the middle guy on the radio. However, once again,
Self-belief is very important.
if you
Reality is not always that.
if you genuinely think the problem with the Carolina Panthers are exclusive to Bryce Young, I would like to point out Andy Dalton also went on a 5-game losing streak. Won a game against one of the worst teams in the
Did
league.
he play 5 games? Did he start 5 games?
Yeah, I think he started 5. He won 1 and then he lost 4 in a row.
So that wouldn't be a 5-game losing streak. That would be a 4, right?
4-game losing streak, 1 win against the worst team in the league, arguably.
Send Rashad a message and say if you see Rob celebrating anything that makes Bryce Young look bad, please send me video because I need that for my archives.
I'm in such a crappy mood that even a Mariah Carey Christmas video isn't cheering me up.
Which
right
is
now.
extremely lame because she's not the Queen of Christmas.
She is Queen of Christmas.
No, she's not. Who was the queen before her?
There wasn't one.
Okay, so they made the monarchy for her.
Sounds like something you would do for a bona fide queen.
Sounds like a bunch of
Also,
bull crap to me.
Also, Mariah Carey in full goth getup can get it.
Unless it's CGI. I mean, I don't know for sure that's really her.
Mariah Carey as effectively.
You know, there are some people who say she's fat.
Well, those people are dumb.
They are. They're
Those people
absolutely
are very
no,
dumb.
no. They're stupid. There's a difference between. Yeah, they're just. There's
Mariah Carey in full Morticia Adams gear could get it.
Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do, Snoop. You look, it's Baker.
Checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you
Probably the only one on this station is going to say that, Joe. I don't know. It is the law for people like us to move, south. So there's probably some more New Jersey people down here. Actually, my granddaughter was born in New Jersey. So. Oh, that's cool. Rob wasn't born yet in 1981, so
Correct. I was not a glimmer in my father's eye in 1981.
Grab your coffee and enjoy the sports on the Rob Brown Show.
Friday, gotta get down on Friday.
I walked into the well, actually, Lonzo walked into the office this morning, and he said,
which I tend to do when I get here.
"It's the start of a story, great one. It's the start of a story." Lonzo walked into the office this morning as I was sitting over in the Fortress of Nerditude, grabbing some final sound bites for the audio blitz, which we will do at 8:00 this morning. And he said, "I can't believe you're not wearing Saints colors today." I am not. I mean, I technically am. I wore a black shirt, but this is my funeral shirt. It's my funeral shirt because
you definitely got the funeral glasses on.
This is my funeral look. This is my Rip from Yellowstone goes to a funeral vibe that I'm putting out today. And during the last break, we got to talking a little bit about Saints Panthers this Sunday, Bank of America Stadium. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I don't know if I'm going yet or not. I know I said yesterday.
You said yesterday, you're going.
Ask me where my tickets are. Ask me where my tickets are.
I don't care.
Good. I don't have any yet. I haven't bought tickets.
No, come on. You said yesterday tickets are secured.
Mm-hmm.
You said parking is secured.
Mm-hmm.
You said everything's taken care of.
The tickets, if I want them, are downstairs. I have not gone and gotten them yet. The parking passes, if I want them, are downstairs. I have not gone down there and picked them up. Now, if this was to an event I actually wanted to go to, I would have gone down yesterday during a break and grabbed the envelope with the stuff in it. I didn't do it.
So you're saying I could go down and take them and use them for myself?
Well, no, because they are for me.
All I got to do is say, hey, I'm grabbing them for Rob.
I mean, yes.
As
you're going to sit through Saints Panthers Sunday?
Absolutely.
Okay,
it's going to be an amazing thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know why it won't be? Because Rob's going to go.
Okay.
That's why it won't be. Rob is absolutely going to be there. He's going to meet Rashad for drinks beforehand. He's going to have a good time, and then he's going to come home and watch some more football. That's what you're going to do, because it's your job and you're going to do
the
it.
Clubhouse leader for me right now. No, my job is to come in here and talk about football, which I can absolutely do without going to a 3.5-hour BS contest between two bad football teams. Okay. What is actually Clubhouse leader for what I'm going to do this Sunday is actually go to the Ren Fair. Like I'm literally thinking to avoid watching two garbage can football teams fight it out, I might go to the Ren Fair instead on Sunday. All right. Here's the thing. I am in an odd way, and you can judge if this makes me a bad fan or not. I am in an odd way kind of hoping the Saints lose on Sunday on the road to Carolina. Genuinely. I'm kind of hoping they lose. And I'm kind of hoping they lose because this football team has already shown. Now, Derek Carr's coming back, allegedly. Here's how I know we're cooked. Yesterday, or day before yesterday, Derek Carr, he's returned to practice from that oblique injury. Right around the time frame that Cody Decker said, who's dealt with this injury before, he said, you're looking at probably 4 weeks before he's ready to go. This is week 4. Looks like he's ready to go. Derek Carr was speaking to the media earlier this week. And they said, hey, man, you're back. You know, the offense, not really what Saints fans hoped that it had been under Spencer Rattler, under Jake Haener. You're back. Is this offense going to click? You know what his response was? It wasn't, I'm excited. It wasn't, yeah, we're feeling good. Practice is great. We're moving the football well. You know, that we're on a pace, yada, yada, yada. You know what Derek Carr's first words to the media were?
Was he dressed in goth?
No.
Like, you know, so he wiped that stuff out from under.
You understand that's just what he looks like, right?
No.
Yes. So that's almost as bad as when Drew Brees went on Oprah and Oprah tried to wipe.
Yeah, wipe that thing off.
She said, a little something on your face and tried to wipe his birthmark off his face. I've never cringed more in my life. Anyway.
That had to be a joke, dude. I mean, come on.
I don't think it was. So, Derek Carr's first statement to the media, making his return to QB1 for the Saints against the Panthers this weekend, was, "I'm not a savior." That's not the exact mark of confidence I'm quite looking for at a QB1. I'm not saying he needs to come out here and say, "I am football Jesus. I am here to save you all from the fire and brimstone of a 5-12 season." I don't need that. What I would like is my starting quarterback to not come out and go, whoa, guys. We're going on the road against the worst football team in the NFL. Let's temper the expectations a little. But yeah, we're confident. Nope. I'm not a savior. Don't look at me. Don't talk about me. Don't expect me to come out here. I am hoping in a weird way that actually Carolina gets the win. And I hope it happens for a couple of reasons. Number one, I hope it happens because with start number 2 under his belt, and granted, Bryce Young had a garbage first half against the Denver Broncos. Pretty good third and fourth quarter against the Denver Broncos. Okay? I'm hoping that momentum continues a little bit for Bryce Young's sake, for the Carolina Panthers' sake, for Dave Canales' sake. But I hope more that in a weird way, the Panthers beat the Saints on Sunday. Because there's no way that Dennis Allen survives if he loses to Carolina, right? Like, there's no way he survives if he loses to the Panthers. That's got to. I don't think it's immediate because firing a coach in season, am I right, Panthers fans, pretty much never leads to good things. It never leads to good things. I mean, yes, it gets you on the road to hiring a new coach if you think that the next guy is already in the ranks. You can raise them up to the interim tag and let them try it on for size. And I guess maybe that's kind of what I'm hoping happens, is that Dennis Allen gets his ass canned and we move Clint Kubiak up into the HC role on an interim basis. But I think the reason that I'm not committed about going to Charlotte to watch my football team Sunday, I think the reason I'm not committed is because I'm rooting for us to lose. This is one of those spots where the fandom of a football team and the knowledge of, knowing the game, knowing ball.
And let me tell you, you don't know ball.
The range between the two comes into conflict here. Because sure, as a fan, I don't want to have Rashad up in here next Thursday, all up in my because his team beat mine. I'm not trying to live that life. But on the other hand, sincerely, objectively, from a 36,000-foot window, what is accomplished if the Saints win this game? We're not winning this division. We're not winning a wild card spot. There is no playoffs this year for us. We are not in any way, shape, or form even close to contending. We are probably, I think, it's about time that the full rebuild switch gets flipped this offseason. Everybody's got to go. You're going back to square one. So, with all that being said, we need to find the guy that can kind of guide us through that and be building whatever the next identity of the New Orleans Saints is. And I hope that's Clint Kubiak. We'll find out. But keeping Dennis Allen as the HC is a great way to guarantee that you suck for longer. And I can't imagine, the Panthers are so bad, respectfully, I can't imagine Dennis Allen loses this game Sunday and survives. I can't imagine that they don't pull the trigger now. So I am rooting for the Carolina Panthers this weekend against my own football team. And I don't care if you think I'm a bad fan for it, because there are zero positives to beating the Panthers. None. Ooh, pride. I don't care about pride. I don't care about it. I care about trophies. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Jacob, what's up, big dog? I am not going to participate in Movember, not because I don't care about the cause. I will donate. I'm not going to participate in Movember because, and some of you may notice this, I have a mustache every day. It's just connected to a beard. And if I shave this beard, I turn into the world's oldest 12-year-old Baptist choir leader if I shave.
Why'd you go with Baptist? Is there a reason? I mean,
That's what my wife calls me when I shave.
Okay, all right.
She says you look like because she's Baptist, you look like a Baptist choir leader.
Do you have the voice of an angel?
I do not. You know what I sang last night in public because it was fun? Linger by the Cranberries. I was just feeling myself.
Okay, just out of the blue, you just started singing it. There was not.
No, we had dinner after the
Oh no, you went
after
to
the show.
You went to a place that you say you don't like going to, but you go to like a karaoke bar.
Mm-mm.
Okay, all right.
Went to a restaurant, but they had music playing, and the Cranberries were on. Somebody had played not like Linger, like the Cranberries, like the catalog of the Cranberries was playing as their entertainment choice for the evening, which I loved. I love the Cranberries. And Linger played when we were leaving out, so we're walking down the street to the parking garage, and I was just belting out Linger by the Cranberries. Loved it.
Else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
After you use bounce dryer sheets and realize how fresh, soft, less wrinkled, and less staticky your laundry can be, you'll notice it every time. Like those socks that smell like they've been through a marathon. Or that blanket that's got wrinkles on its wrinkles. Maybe even your chatty coworker who keeps distracting you. Okay, bounce dryer sheets can't do it all.
By the way, just a tip. Attention, moles. Never think salvage or sabotage when, someone's in a bad mood. Never think that. So I made this major mistake this week, and this is weird, but it's a major mistake that I made because there's a certain kind of deodorant that we normally use, and we were just about out, so we were at the DG Market, because picking up a few things at the DG Market, and which is a lot fancier than the Dollar General because it's cleaner. And so I need to pick up some deodorant. So I really hate smells. A perfume and cologne and stuff. It makes me cough all the time and makes my eyes hurt. And I picked up Old Spice deodorant. What a mistake that was. I've been struggling because I can't handle. I mean, I'm tasting it now. It's in my eyes. Been in my eyes all week because I have. It's not. I'm not allergic. I guess maybe I could be. But stuff like that just messes my sinuses and everything up. So I've tortured myself all week. So I cannot wait to go to the grocery store and buy the other deodorant that we usually use that, takes care of the odor and stuff, but does not cologne me to the point where I can't breathe. And I'm also concerned about bears because bears really like cologne.
Attracted to Old Spice?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, who isn't? So except for me, because I don't like the smell. It's not necessarily just Old Spice. It's anything that does that. Wow, look at all these state champions out there. Must be nice. My high school football team won 2 games our senior year. Not because of me.
Mine's actually a threat down in Florida this year.
I averaged a sack a game. So.
We are going to push the water cooler cheat sheet back one segment today because coming up in the next segment, I am going to replay you my interview with ESPN's Marty Smith that I recorded earlier this week.
I'm not trying to do a semantic thing, but isn't that pushing it forward? Because pushing it back would mean we'd be doing it now,
No,
right?
pushing it back in the show would be the segment after.
But it's actually forward in the show because it's the next segment. It's not. So it's the following segment, not the segment that it normally
you
is.
would push
so that would be forward.
No, you would put if you push something from 7 to 7:30, you're pushing it back in the day, back in the show, back in whatever.
You're pushing it forward.
No,
Like,
Lonzo, forward is towards us. We would be
no
pulling
forward.
it forward.
Forward is not towards us. If I push you forward, you're repelling away from me.
No, if you push me, I'm going forward relative to you,
All right,
but
you're being
I am
pushed
going
back.
backwards.
You are being pushed back,
Right.
but I still disagree. You're still wrong.
You're like, you're right, but you're wrong.
Well, physically, yes, but in
First off, I'm very proud of you for having a semantics argument. Welcome. It's fun. Second off, no. If you move something from 7:30
you're right.
to
This is
7,
my first one ever in my entire life. Semantic argument.
it's one of the first ones you've actively brought up.
That's not true.
But
there's been quite a few in the office involving another person also, and the forked roads that we go down. Where we all think we won, and probably none of us did.
The water cooler cheat sheet will be pushed down the rundown, back in the show, in order to play the interview I did earlier this week with Marty Smith from ESPN. We will have that for you coming up at the top of the 7 o'clock hour. We'll do the water cooler cheat sheet after that. 8 o'clock, the audio blitz, the best audio we've picked up from the last day or two. Then at 8:40, Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast will come by. 9 a.m., John and Kevin and maybe Jarrell, we'll find out, from the Moving the Chains pod will come by to run you through the high school football weekend. And then the back half of the show pretty much belongs to you.
I'm looking forward to 8:40 for the clash of two fan bases and all the stuff that's going to be talked today between the Panther fan and the Saints fan. It's what I love about radio. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be, I may have to hit the button a couple of times because they're really going to go at it. So make sure you tune in for that.
You, Rashad. No, you, Rob. No, it's not. Listen.
He will not use that voice. When he's angry, we all know he gets louder. So, yeah.
You are about to listen to at 8:40 this morning. You're about to listen to two
compelling radio, because we wouldn't say anything otherwise, because that would be bad form, because we don't want you to turn away.
I have a responsibility, I think, to be honest with my audience. Okay. I am not a guy who manufactures takes. I am not a guy who writes takes to be controversial, to get attention. I am somebody who tries to be honest about my takes, my thoughts, my opinions, whatever, down to and including many times saying, I don't have a take on this. I just think it's entertaining, right? The honest take right now is what you are going to listen to later on in the show is two dudes that are exasperated with their football programs. You are going to listen to two fans that are effectively experiencing the football version of an existential crisis. In fact, I would even argue it's worse for me than it is for Rashad. Because with Rashad, at least I can make up reasons to be optimistic.
So I thought you were going to say, because with Rashad, he should be used to being in this position because he's a Panthers fan. I thought that's what you were going to say.
Not at all.
That's not what you were thinking?
Not at all.
That's what we all thought you were going to say.
Well, then stop assuming what I'm going to say, because I may shock you.
I thought it was the beginning of the smack talk right here, like almost an hour before it happens.
Not even a little.
2 hours.
Not even a little. You are listening to two bros who are going to talk ball as they experience an existential crisis as fans. Because
but you still should tune in, because it's going to be compelling no matter how boring he's trying to make it.
I'm not trying to make it boring.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be saucy. It's going to be like, oh, how did they contain all that in one studio? Good thing they're not in the same place. This could come to blows. It's so heated.
No, it won't. All right. Listen, I'm not trying to poo-poo my own show, but I also don't want people to say, Rashad, Saints are going to kick your ass. No, they're not. No, they're not. Somebody's going to walk out of this thing. It's going to be like a 7-4 football game for no reason.
All right, here's the thing. Rashad's going to bring his people with him, the Panther Nation with him, and they're going to talk stuff. So, I mean, it's you against them, and you're not going to stand up, rise up for your team.
Once again, and I know I'm getting myself in trouble here. I appreciate you doing what you can do to try to turn this into a clash of the Titans, and it's going to be mano-y-mano, Rashad and Rob, the Panther Nation podcast versus the Who Dat Nation. It's not going to be that. It's going to be two guys going through it with their teams. And again, for me, Rashad's in the better spot because I at least see the concept of a plan that's in place for the Panthers right now. There are some positives that you can point out, okay? There's some positives that you can point out in terms of, Tep's been largely out of the way. There was a story that was going on this past weekend where the allegation was that at the Broncos game, Tepper got into it with a Broncos fan and had them removed from the stadium because they were giving Tepper hell. But since then, a number of reporters in Denver, not connected to the Panthers, have come out and said, actually, it was stadium security who elected to remove this fan. But that is, as we have said a couple of times on the show, that's the first time since the hiring of Dan Morgan and Dave Canales. That's the first time I've heard David Tepper's name. That's good. That's good. You've seen guys like Xavier Legette who have started to show up a little bit with the trade of Deontay. I think what you can take away from that is that this is a Panther team that is not going to play the game of, as much as I know it's going to bother Rashad Beard, and we'll talk to him about it. They're not going to play the game of let's go win as many games this year as we can, because winning games this year is, whether you like it or not, irrelevant and unimportant. That does not matter if you win games. What matters this year for the Cats is getting better, is developing, is progressing, is finding out who your dudes on the roster are and who your dudes are that should not be on the roster. And I think you're working in that direction. So at least with Carolina, I can point out things and go, this is in the right direction. This is in the right direction. Doesn't mean they're all gonna come to fruition. Doesn't matter this team's gonna be. It doesn't mean this team's gonna like suddenly be good next year. I think that this is a long-term growth project. But at least with Carolina, you can point to things and go, all right, by the end of this year, I'm gonna tell you right now, Bryce Young's starting every game the rest of the year, because I need to know, is he a dog or not? Is he a dog or did we miss? I need to know going into next year. Offensive line. Who are the guys that are going to fight till the bitter end, even when there is no positive outcome? Who are those dogs? Where are my guys? Defensively. All right, you got a bunch of leaders that are down. You missed some time out of Shaq. You lost Brian Burns in the offseason. You lost Derek Brown to injury. You got a bunch of guys that you know are dogs that are unavailable. So who out of this group that's playing now are my dogs? This is all positive, whether you like it or not, for Carolina. For New Orleans, what's my positive?
Wow. So here's what I hear. A guy who's down on his team talking up the worst team in the league, trying to make his team the worst team in the league. And New Orleans is not the worst team in the league. The Panthers are.
No. Once again, hear what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I do not give a damn about wins for the Panthers this year. They're irrelevant. And the same is true for the Saints. I don't care about wins. Wins are irrelevant. What the hell's the difference between finishing 1-16 and 2-15 or 4-13 or 7-10? Zero difference.
Order.
Who cares? Who cares? I mean, yes, it's important. Sure, it's important. But if that is your argument, then shouldn't the goal be to lose every game? Your goal should be don't win another game.
Yeah, but your team can't do that because they're better than the Panthers.
The point here for me is, with the Panthers,
what's the money line? Who's Vegas going with?
I don't know. I mean, look, I'm sure it's probably New Orleans like plus 110 or minus 110.
So you don't think it'd be more than that?
No,
because
why? I don't think
if you look at that and it's a big spread, it's going to make your team look really good, and you don't want that to happen.
I'll tell you what I don't want to happen. What I don't want to happen is for my team to win another game. I'm dead serious. And if you don't understand this, I'm sorry. Okay? But I don't want my team to win another game. I hope I am more miserable than ever the rest of this year.
Yeah, I hope you're not.
I hope I am a miserable, absolutely awful. We are 7-point favorites, minus 110 on the money line as I predicted.
Wow, look at you.
That's Carolina at home. So the Saints are favored effectively by 10 in this one, which I don't get it. All right, but whatever. It's Vegas. I don't care.
You got a better quarterback, better defense, better running game. Of course, New Orleans is favored.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
All right. Name a place where a position where the Panthers are better.
I'm not going to.
Because you can't.
Okay, I can't. Fine. I do not care about this year. Wins and losses are irrelevant to the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints. They're irrelevant. What the Saints win this weekend? Do you think I'm coming here Monday like, yeah, got him, take that? No, I don't care. In fact, there is no benefit to winning this weekend. Zero, none. In fact, I would argue there's actually benefit to losing.
So which outcome would put you in a better mood Monday? Your Saints losing or your Saints winning?
There is no good mood. There's no good mood. I either win and I'm 1 week more with Dennis Allen as my head coach, which means we don't go anywhere. We spin our wheels in the muck for another few weeks, or I lose to the Carolina Panthers and give them their second win. Would have been their fourth win in 2 years?
So under the last coach, you did win a Super Bowl, but other than that, what was the average wins per year for the Saints?
Oh, we've been asked for a long time.
Okay.
History of the franchise.
All right.
But just because the team has sucked forever doesn't mean it has to suck forever. All right? Like you find your Sean Payton, you find your Drew Brees, and a window opens. That's how the game works. But I can tell you what you're not going to win with. Dennis Allen. You're just not going to do it. He has lost it. The team had multiple players-only meetings this week. Do you know what a players-only meeting means? It means we don't trust the coach to change anything to make us better. When your team has a players-only meeting, there are two reasons to do it. Number one, the team is blaming themselves. Great, accountability. I respect that. Or number two, the team goes, those bunch of yahoos over there with headsets and clipboards, they're not going to get it done for us. We have to get it done. This is on us. So last year, at the end of the year, as much as I actually kind of liked it, I knew Dennis Allen was cooked because he's a guy that has a career 30% winning percentage. That's bad. Mathematically, it's bad. I also knew they were cooked in the last game of the year when he sent in the V for victory formation against Tampa Bay, and the Saints held an on-field coup and decided, nah, actually, we're going to run the ball in for a touchdown to get Jamal a touchdown here, which don't get me wrong, I appreciate it because I love Jamal, a guy who just wants to go home with his cats and watch anime. I respect the guy. But when the players basically give a middle finger to the coach and say, nah, dog, we're running it up on them. When last year in a road game against Atlanta, the Saints went out there and poured it on, and he apologized to the Atlanta Falcons for running up the score. You don't get the organization. You don't get the program. You don't get the game. You got to go. A loss to Carolina at least would solidify and be one step closer to the departure of Dennis Allen, which is, it just has to happen now. Okay. So yes, on Sunday, number one, I'm like a handful percent sure I'm not going to this game because what am I going to do? Go root openly against my own team? And what do? Go, yay, we won, take that. All 2,500 fans in this building.
Who are you going with?
Nobody. The wife doesn't want to go. She's like, no, are you okay if I go to the spa? Absolutely.
You got 2 tickets and you were going by yourself. At least you can man spread like you normally do.
Oh, for sure.
Don't have to worry about that. Yeah.
For sure. I'll be real comfortable. I mean, does it matter? You think I'm not going to be able to find 5 to 10 open seats in a row at Bank of America Stadium this Sunday? I don't think I'm going to have a problem finding space in that stadium.
I just think you're going. I do. I think you've already got someone going with you. And,
I don't.
And I think you're going to root for your team. I get you down on your team, but I think that's what you're going to do.
The only benefit to go into this game, the only benefit would be to openly talk bleep to Panthers fans in person. How much fun is that? Yeah, we just handed y'all your 20th something loss in the last 2 years. Take that, sucker.
Which is what you should do.
We're number 3.
Yeah.
We're number 3.
Exactly. At least you're not number 4.
How is that fun to you?
Because it's better than
how
4.
How is that fun? That's not fun. That's miserable.
It's finding positive in a negative situation, but unfortunately, you don't
miserable.
want to do that.
It's miserable.
Okay? All right.
We're not the worst. We're not
Absolutely.
the worst.
No. I mean,
No.
you're not the best, but you're not last.
No.
That's there's positive in there.
No. Nobody. Hey, who got eliminated? Who got eliminated second in the Royal Rumble last year? Nobody remembers because nobody cares. Hey, when we come back, I got the chance earlier this week to interview Marty Smith from ESPN. We're going to play you that interview when we return. That's after Lonzo wows you with this definitely not last place sports flash.
Yeah, because I'm the only one who does it on the station. So, first and last, that's what I'm doing. An amazing game happened last night. The New York Jets broke a 5-game losing streak with a 21-13 win over the Houston Texans. Aaron Rodgers, Rob's favorite quarterback, completed 22 of 32 passes for 211 yards and 3 touchdowns, outdueling C.J. Stroud, who was only 11 of 30 for 191 yards with no touchdowns. Garrett Wilson made an amazing touchdown early in the fourth to take the lead. You need to watch it. It's really, really cool. Familiar voice to baseball fans has stepped away from the mic after calling games for 42 years. Bob Costas announced yesterday he's called his last game. His last game was the ALDS series between the Yankees and Royals. Costas has been calling games since 1982. Hey, tune in tonight, 7 p.m. as Burns Rebels head to Boiling Springs to take on the Bulldogs right here on your home for Burns football. The Fan, upstate. Gotta say, love the way that Bill Brooks says Gaffney. It's amazing to have those pipes.
Attention Rebel fans, are you ready to experience MVP treatment in banking? Look no further than Founders Federal Credit Union, where personalized service is the winning play. Don't settle for being just another number. Join the Founders family. Receive the personalized attention you deserve. Visit an office near you or visit relaxjoinfounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. Relax. Go Rebels. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Open enrollment is here. Don't be frustrated by having to choose your health plan on your own. Visit scbluehereforyou.com to schedule an appointment at the South Carolina Blue Retail Center on Elizabeth Road in Greenville. Casey and his local licensed health insurance experts can help you find a Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina plan for 2025 that fits you and your budget. Schedule a no-cost appointment today at scbluehereforyou.com.
Mad World Haunted Attraction is now open. Voted one of America's top haunts and known in South Carolina.
Oh, money line's minus. Yeah, I read it wrong. The spread's minus 110 at minus 7. Sorry, I was talking out of frustration there.
So you're saying they're favored by more than what you thought?
No, they're favored by 7. Money line's minus 3.
I was wondering why you added 3 on there, but
Well, Carolina catches 3 for being at home. Actually, they may not anymore.
Yeah, does it come into play when home field advantage doesn't really exist?
Bookie to bookie.
So when you go Sunday, you could probably move down to like the first row.
I'm sure I probably could.
What if they let you do that?
Or I could get down towards the bottom of the bowl, I'm sure.
Another year wondering why your marketing isn't more effective. Another year worried about next year. The clock is ticking, but you still have time. Hi, contact the experts at Scale Marketing. Scale Marketing is a full-service marketing agency who is expert in lead generation and revenue growth. How expert? Our clients see an average of 20% growth in the first year alone, with sustained growth from there. It's all part of our process. From your traditional marketing, to social media, to paid search, we'll take a forensic approach, digging deep to find the root problems in your marketing strategy. Then we'll fix them fast. At Scale Marketing, we can't stop the clock, but we can change your company's future. Find out how you can make marketing.
Put this in queue real quick, please.
Drive more revenue. Contact us at scalemarketing.com. That's scalemarketing.com.
The Fan.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Rob.
New life in the first break.
10-4. I'm going to intro us real back, and then I'll go to that.
You're an official Rob Brown lockdown. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. He's no problem.
Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show underway. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, the Great One Lonzo, with you this and every weekday morning from 6 until 10 o'clock in the AM. Next segment, Water Cooler Cheat Sheet. Ordinarily, we do it here, but got something pretty cool that I get the opportunity to share with you. Wednesday, had the opportunity to bring on to the show ESPN's Marty Smith. Marty was kind enough to join us on the broadcast. Enjoyed the opportunity to have a chat with Marty. It was a phenomenal interview that I enjoyed thoroughly. Got the chance to talk a little bit about Marty and how Marty Smith came. I don't know if how many of you guys are fans of Marty Smith. I am. I'm a big fan. Marty's a lot of fun because he to me is one of the most genuine, true to himself people out there. And for somebody who's not a fan of the talking heads, the hot take artist out there, Marty Smith is not that at all. He's one of my favorite broadcasters. Got the chance to talk to him a little bit about being Marty Smith and did ask him a little bit about his thoughts on the Shane Beamer tenure at South Carolina, the direction that Dabo Swinney has Clemson rolling in right now. Got the chance to talk to Marty Smith about that a little bit earlier in the week. So without further ado, here is my conversation earlier this week with ESPN's Marty Smith. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The Rob Brown Show is right here on the Fan Upstate 97.7 FM, Greenville, South Carolina, 97.1 FM, Spartanburg, South Carolina, and for free all around the world on the Odyssey app. And we are privileged now to be joined by a guy that I have followed around for a very long time, dating back to his days covering NASCAR for ESPN and other outlets. Now, he is a multimedia legend, an icon, a superstar, and of course, the host of my favorite show. And yes, I do include the one that I do, Marty and McGee. Marty Smith joining us here on the show. What's up, fella? How we doing, man?
Rob, thank you, brother. I'm great. My blessings abound. This time of year, as you know, is just so much to manage, but it's beautiful chaos, and it's such a blessing to have the opportunity to manage it all. Running around all over the country, telling great stories in college football and beyond, raising a bunch of money for Western North Carolina with our concert for Carolina we did last Saturday night. Took my daughters to Taylor Swift in New Orleans on Sunday night. So the Smiths are full throttle all the time, bro.
I love it, man. I am a dude that believes in, I work all the time. I work here on the show. I work for the local hockey team, the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, the local baseball team, The Drive. I'm all over the place. And also Marty Smith, and I feel like you're kind of in the same boat. This ain't work, dude. Like, we are lucky that we talked some people into giving us money to do what we do, but it ain't work. Life's good.
I say all the time that, I grew up, my family has a cattle farm, and we've had it since my grandparents around the war, mid-40s or so. And when my parents died, it was left to my sister and me. And I think about the lessons I learned growing up working on that farm. The only job I ever had in the summer was throwing hay bales every single day. sanding down tin roof barns and repainting them, baking like a tater on top of that tin roof. Had the palest person the good Lord ever made. For some reason, no sunscreen. We didn't believe in copper tone in the 80s. But nonetheless, that's work. I understand what work is, and this ain't work, but it's a lot of hours. I've said to my boss before, Rob, that they don't pay me for television. They pay me for airplanes. TV's free.
I respect that. I respect that. Marty Smith from ESPN joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Listen, I want to talk about a bunch of stuff you're doing. I want to talk a little bit about how you arrived where you are, but I got to make it awkward right out of the gate for us, Marty Smith. About a year and a half ago, I met your co-host on Saturdays, Ryan McGee, at a Star Wars metal concert. All right. Galactic Empire, phenomenal band. Met him there. Told me I'd love to come on the show. I'd love to be there. He's a local boy. He's from right here in the upstate, from this area. And he said, here's my number. Text me. I'd love to come on. And I have not heard back from that young man since that night. So all I need to say is, can you pass on a message and tell him the local goober down in Greenville, South Carolina is a little hurt because he thought you bonded over Star Wars and metal music.
All right. There's a lot to unpack here. First of all, the most McGee thing I've ever heard is that he went to a Star Wars metal experience. Nobody loves galactic storylines quite like he does. Every single weekend on our show, especially during football season, where we actually dress up and have to wear suits because the mouse says so. He has like all kinds of accoutrement. He has pins. He has every tie he has some sort of Death Star on it, or Darth Vader on it, or Millennium Falcon on it, or some such thing. And he matches all of his outfits in that way. So, not surprised at all. I'm going to bust his ass so hard that he has not called you back. I am going to let him have it, man. I mean, he's got to talk to the local folks, man. Come on.
That's why, listen, I said, it's a sports talk show. If you want to come on and you want to break down the new Star Wars trilogy for 15 minutes, I will make the people listen to it. And he said, absolutely. Never heard back. I'm just saying, I need your boy to know it's a little unfortunate. All right. No.
As soon as we get done, I'm going to call him.
I love it. I love it. I do want to ask, because both you and he, the reason I think that at least I have gravitated to you guys as individuals, and certainly to what I believe is magic you've put together with Marty and McGee, is because you guys have two of the most unique voices in the broadcasting world. I'm talking about both the dialect and the accent, sure, but also your ability to maybe be two of the most true to yourself people in the national broadcasting game. I know you came up through covering Virginia Tech and covering NASCAR for ESPN and all that. How have you managed to stay Marty Smith and also become one of the biggest talking heads on ESPN when sports media over the last few years, at least in my opinion, as a little old yokel down in Greenville, South Carolina, has kind of elevated a lot of the same guys in different positions? How have you managed to stay so true to yourself and also land yourself as one of the biggest talkers on the biggest network in the game?
I think it's important with our growth as people and our evolution as people to make sure that we not only evolve in our aptitudes and our acumen, but also our self-awareness. And I've tried to do that, and I realize the blessing that is this job. But when it comes to the way I approach the job, I don't know any other way, Rob. I care about people genuinely, and I have my whole life now. I've also evolved in the way that I realize I need to become more and more and more selfless each day and not self-absorbed. And so as a result of that, I've removed a lot of walls, and I've just tried to live my truth as best I can and ask people when I sit down across from them, no matter who that is, whether that's a college football coach. Kalen DeBoer at Alabama was nice enough in the middle of prep last Friday to sit down with me at his desk on Sports Center. And it was in a tough way in that moment. The noise in Tuscaloosa was very loud. They'd lost to Vandy, and then they'd lost to Tennessee. And you just ask them their open-ended truth. What have you learned in the last month about what it is to be the Alabama football coach. And then they share their truth. And when you do that, the recipient, the interviewee understands that there's no leading agenda. And so I think too that I had amazing parents, and my old man was a hell raiser of the greatest degree, and my mother was the choir director and organ player in a church. And so I just had such an interesting home life as a kid, and I knew I was loved. And I'm so grateful for that, because the greatest thing that we can give our children or offer someone else is the opportunity to know that they're seen, heard, felt, understood, appreciated, that they have belonging, all of those things. And McGee and I have been given a platform, a massive platform. But that platform for me on ESPN is an avenue and a vehicle for my purpose, which I believe is everything I just said. Letting people know that you're seen and heard and have belonging and community. And I just believe, brother, every single day, there's a lot that we face that we cannot control, the vast majority, but we control kindness, effort, and passion every day of our lives. They're ours. Nobody else determines that for us. We do. Do you have undeniable positive energy? Do you treat people really well to the point that they notice it and it might rewrite their day? Do you outwork other people? Because that's a you decision. And all of those answers have really melded into this place that Ryan and I are. And God bless ESPN for giving us these massive platforms to be exactly who we are, because it's very rare. And we're very self-aware of that.
That's fantastic. When I started here in Greenville, one of the reasons I picked this radio station to work for was the boss came to me and said, we hired you because you're energetic, you're yourself, there's no holding back. If you're going to talk Star Wars, if you're going to talk Florida State, if you're going to talk Clemson, whatever it is, we don't want to put a leash on that. And I think you can kind of feel that energy. I listened to you guys for the first time a couple of years ago. You were doing a segment, you may or may not remember, about words that people spelled wrong in their like elementary school spelling bees back in the day. It was so good because I'm not a stick to sports guy. I want to hear people being people, but I had this flashback to second grade misspelling the word oyster as a kid from New Orleans, Louisiana. That was not okay in the fam. I switched the S and the Y. I just wasn't thinking. I flipped them. And Marty, it's a core memory, spelling the word oyster wrong. Medicine. I texted that to you guys' show, and then it just became a bunch of people. It went from I'm connected to these people because I love college football and I love NASCAR, and these fellows are talking college football and NASCAR, to this is a whole community of people who had these horrific memories of misspelling a word in second grade that has stuck with them, and this is their chance to vent. I got attached to the show and have been ever since. So congratulations on building what I think has been one of the most unique sports shows in the sports talkosphere.
Well, son, thank you so much. And I'll be honest with you. The beauty of the show to us is two-tiered. Number one, the show is our friendship, period. That's what the show, the show was born from that. Number one, it has evolved certainly over time as ESPN has let us grow it and grow it and grow it and given us more and more opportunity. But number two is we are both extremely adamant that we get the important stuff right. And because we're both national reporters, if there's a big story going on, one of the two of us or both of us are probably there or covering it. And so because of that, we have the presence on big platforms, whether that's college football playoff, college World Series, Masters, PGA Championship, Indianapolis 500, Daytona 500, whatever. We're there. And so that gives us this cool presence as national reporters. And we were very serious about getting those things right and bringing on experts that afford us that opportunity and that platform to do it. But because of that, we can screw around with spelling bees, with little Debbies, with country music songs, with our own life and our own experiences. And it is very relatable. And I'm going to tell you, man, it blows our minds what it's become. And thank you for, first of all, for your kind words and your willingness to consume the show and everybody who listens. And we both care deeply about our roots. Anybody that listens to your show knows how often he shouts out TR and how often I shout out Giles County and Parisburg and Spartan football and all my boys back home in Appalachia. Because we've been blessed that our branches have extended, in some cases globally, in our work experiences. But I'm forever rooted in Appalachia, and he's forever rooted in the 9 hometowns, the 9 cities he calls his hometown. He's the Kenny Chesney of hometowns, as you know.
Yeah, he is. ESPN's Marty Smith here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, I know we got a couple more minutes left here. Let's flip, if you don't mind, talk a little college football. And I do want to start with, when we talk about the 2 schools we cover here, University of South Carolina, they've obviously got Sandstorm. You got the running down the hill in Clemson, South Carolina. Of all the college football stadiums and all the games you've been to, if I asked you to present what you think is the one tradition that you would put above all others in the landscape of college football, and I said the career depends on it, Marty Smith, what's that one?
This is like picking a kid, but because let me just first, Lainey and I stayed. We had the Tennessee-Alabama game 2 weeks ago. Lainey and I, that's my wife. Lainey and I stayed with some friends, went to the game. I love East Tennessee. I love Knoxville, Tennessee. Watching them boys run through the tee is wonderful. Watching Dabo and the boys run down the hill, touching Howard's Rock. 82, that's as loud a stadium as there is in the country. Down at Memorial Stadium in Clemson, wonderful. Sandstorm, as great a tradition as there is. Calling Baton Rouge and Death Valley. I think Death Valley is the number one, cannot miss. If you're looking for the wildest college football experience, go to Death Valley. Dixieland Delight in Tuscaloosa, out of this world, on and on and on. Jump around at Camp Randall, crazy. Touching the banner at Michigan, awesome. All of it. But for me, I was born and raised 30 minutes west of Blacksburg, Virginia. And the answer is Metallica at Lane Stadium, Worsham Field, Enter Sandman. And to me, it's that, and then it's everything else. And there's bias there, but if you've experienced it, you know I'm not wrong.
It's very high on the Rob Brown bucket list in the next couple of years for sure. All right, another minute or two with Marty Smith from ESPN. I will ask you one question each about Clemson and South Carolina, if you don't mind, just to get your thoughts for the folks here in the upstate. Let's start with South Carolina. Shane Beamer has been very interesting because he has built an incredible culture around Columbia, and the recruiting has been as good as it was since prime Steve Spurrier days. But to me, the big issue for Shane's team has been consistency and discipline and building that and growing on that. But I'm obviously connected to the team. I cover them all the time. From somebody who covers them on a national perspective, your thoughts on the Shane Beamer tenure and the direction this program's going in are what?
I think that they're very close to learning how to close. And they didn't do it against Alabama. They should have beat Alabama. I think we all agree on that. That's certainly my opinion. They didn't close. Defensively, there's disruptive on the edge as any team in the country. I like their young pieces. They just have to learn how to put it together for an entire game, for 4 quarters. They show flashes of brilliance, but then they have these just, what the hell are you doing moments. And I know it's driving Shane crazy. Driving him crazy as the leader of that program, but he is the guy. He's a great coach, and he's a great leader, and I think he's the perfect guy for that place. It's such a unique time in college football where when you have great players, you got to figure out how to develop them quickly, build cohesion and chemistry quickly, and then pay them. Figure out how to keep them there. And that's going to be his challenge this offseason, is keeping those edge guys there and I really like Sellers too. I think he's has the potential to be a really, really good player.
All right, let's go down the road. Memorial, we talked about them a minute ago. Dabo Swinney coming to this year. There were a lot of questions about, is he the same guy? Is this the same program? They lost that game to Georgia. They turned around the next week and took on Appalachian State, dropped a 60 burger on them, and that team has looked like it's been all afterburner since then. There's been a ton of criticism about Dabo's not going to be able to survive in this new world where here come the Clemson Tigers. They're in a front row seat for an ACC title game and a playoff bye in round one. Just your overall thoughts on the Clemson culture, the Clemson program with Dabo Swinney still in charge, to me, answering the critics, of which, full disclosure, I was one of them.
I've never been one of them. I have said he has to embrace the portal in some way, and I don't know if he will. I mean, he's very staunchly against that and it being a developmental program even still. And it does my heart so good that he's put together this season. Klubnik has made great progressions. They are out of this world defensively. I love what he's doing. If I had a son, I'd want him to play for both of those guys, for Dabo and for Shane, because they love the kid first. They know the families. They care about the families and the parents. They want to develop the young men. And I love everything about the fact that Dabo's not a middle finger guy. He's a man of faith. He's a guy who leads with his faith, which I appreciate so much. But he's flying the bird at a lot of people, and I think it's pretty awesome.
I am one of those people, and it's deserved, and I accept it.
And I'm going to tell you something, dude. To me, they're the best team in the league. I know Pitt, great. Miami's playing with house money right now. I think Cam Ward is awesome, but the situation against Virginia Tech, they got away with one. Against Cal, they got away with one. And Mario he's built it quick, and having a great quarterback is imperative. If those two teams play one another, they don't play in the regular season, right? So if they play one another in Charlotte here, it's going to be a really great game. And let's see what happens. I mean, you got 4 ACC teams right now that are undefeated in league play. So it's going to be fun coming down the way.
Marty Smith from ESPN, you can hear him. I was going to say on Marty McGee, which you obviously can't on Saturdays, but pretty much any day of the week, almost any damn time of the day across the ESPN platforms. Marty, phenomenal to have you on the show, man. Tremendous conversation. We'd love to have you back sometime, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the platform, brother. I appreciate y'all. I love your state. Y'all be good down there.
Marty Smith from ESPN. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys. Be right back after this. Stay right there.
coworkers might annoy you. But we promise we won't. Download the free Odyssey app and listen to us at work while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. If you're late, you can rewind your favorite live shows to catch what you missed. And with chapters, easily jump to the topics that you care about most, like the latest updates from your team. Your sports talk, your way. The Odyssey app. Download it today.
Sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by setting Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of
Joe, Virginia Blacksburg's on the list for me. I've heard nothing but good things. That it's electric in that building.
On your radio at 97.7 FM, 1330 AM, Greenville, 97.1 FM, 950 AM, Spartanburg.
Listen on your phone, download the Odyssey app, and search The Fan Upstate.
There's a whole lot more to know about sound if you really want to go into the subject.
Your smart speaker. Just say play 97 The Fan Upstate. On your HD radio at WFBC HD3. There's just one more thing. And on your computer at The Fan.
FanUpstate.com.
Text line.
307.
Keyword fan.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show.
On the street.
The Rob Brown Show continues. The Fan Upstate. Great to have you. Robin Lonzo. Thanks to Marty Smith for taking some time out of his day to sit down with me on Wednesday. Enjoyed that interview quite a bit. We're going to push the water cooler cheat sheet one more spot because it was a long interview, so we got a short segment here. Instead, we will focus on what it was that Marty said there at the end of that interview. Got the chance to ask him about Shane Beamer, about Dabo Sweeney, and the direction he thinks those programs were in. He said, look, when it comes to South Carolina, he said, I think that they are dangerously close to learning how to finish. He said they should have beat Alabama. You think it, I think it, we all think it should have beat Alabama, but they had a couple of, in his words, not mine, what the hell are you doing moments that created problems and ultimately prevented them from finishing that game, and talked about that. He knows from conversations, as he has conversations just about every single Saturday on Marty and McGee with college football coaches from across America. He said, I know that that's bothering Shane. I know that those disciplinary letdowns are bothering Shane. I know the fact that they are finding new and creative ways not to finish games are bothering Shane a little bit. And that's, I've been saying that for a while now. Like, this team feels like it's dangerously close to finding it. But I thought something he said right in the middle of that was most interesting. He said, and I quote, Shane is the guy. Shane is the guy. This is the right guy at the right time for this program. And that is one of those statements that as a broadcaster, you can sometimes be hesitant to make, because it's a claim that if you make, and then a couple of years later, that guy hasn't produced and he's out of a job, the people don't forget, and they're going to come back after you. I mean, I will still occasionally get messages and takes from people in markets I used to broadcast in that remember me saying that, this NFL draft pick is going to be a stud. This is the guy, or that coach is going to win a Super Bowl with this team, and they don't, or whatever the case might be. That's not a statement as a broadcaster, especially on a national platform, that you make if you're not very confident in the take, in the selection, in the opinion. And the fact that Marty is willing to go off on that and say Shane Beamer is the guy, and this team is very close to taking the next step, I think you got to take some level of confidence in that if you're a South Carolina fan. And then the Clemson opinion there at the end. He said, look, Dabo's not a guy who's going to give the bird to anybody, but this is a situation where if he was, he would. And I think that's spot on as well. Right? Like I said to Marty, and I said it on the interview, and I'll say it here. I had a lot of questions about Dabo. As a matter of fact, there was a promo that it may still be running, but there was a promo there for a while that was running from me that I wanted left up for accountability purposes. There was a promo running that was me effectively saying, I need badass Dabo back, right? I need that gritty, not the guy that comes in and goes, winning's hard. It's hard to do. I need the Dabo back that says, bleep you, we're winning, right? Like, we are Clemson. This is what we do. It's all we know how to do, and it's all we're going to do. I need that confident, almost outlandish Dabo that when he got the job, and a lot of folks, including a lot of y'all, keep it a buck, we're saying this ain't it. This ain't the hire. Can't we do better than just elevating this no-name guy from inside of our program? And Dabo, to me, like a lot of the success of Dabo Swinney came from wanting to give the double bird to the doubters. And Marty said, look, this team's it. This team's back. This is the result of Dabo Swinney making sure that the culture in and around that program is that program's culture. And I thought that was, again, that was very interesting. And I don't have a problem with it. Again, I do not know respectfully if it is sustainable or not, right? Like we're still 3 years deep in the NIL era. And I don't know if you can run that or any program long-term without adapting to what is the current model. But if there is someone who can, it's him. And I think this year has proven it. So does Marty Smith. All right, let's take a break. When we come back in a minute, we will wrap up the hour with the water cooler cheat sheet. Top 3 sports stories you need to know as you roll up into the office this AM. 8 o'clock hour, we will open it with the audio blitz, the best audio that we've picked up over the last few hours and or days. Rashad Beard at 8:40 talks Carolina Panther football with us as they get set to host the divisional matchup between them and the New Orleans Saints. 9 o'clock, John and Kev from Moving the Chains come by to run us through the high school football weekend. All of that and more coming up next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
He's not that cool, Steven.
I don't know. I think I'm pretty cool. I don't have that good of hair yet.
I don't think Jason Patrick has much hair at all now. So, yeah.
He did back then.
Beating. Did you see this?
He was not riding. Look, you ain't cranking no leg. You did. Yeah, you gotta crank like. Hey, it's real Scooby snacks in that. Let me get some of them.
Anyway, have you seen this?
I'll
send it to you. You hear who it is, right?
Mm-mm.
It's Xavier Legette.
Oh, okay. I should have picked up on that.
Yeah, it's when you see what they gave him for Halloween. I just sent it to you.
Here's great news, fresh from those in the know. Major changes have happened at the IRS. If you owe more than $10,000, you may be eligible for a 99% reduction of what you owe. Haven't filed a return for a while? Their happy clients are talking.
The IRS was going to levy my bank account, but Guardian was able to prevent that and fix all my IRS issues. Thanks again, Guardian Tax.
Need relief from crushing tax debt? The IRS now has special programs. Guardian Tax knows all about them. Personal or business, this is the fresh new break
you've been hoping for. We aren't the company you call when you need a hug because you're scared of the IRS. Guardian Tax is the company that wins when you need it most.
Guardian Tax Service is really great to work with. They really help me out. I recommend them highly.
Call now for a free confidential consultation. 800-499-5165. 800-499-5165. 800-499-5165.
Look, there's a Mark Ryan video.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean,
y'all give me this,
lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports book.
Bro, I was telling him I was riding down the field for you. I seen him. He was not riding. Yes, I was. Bro, you ain't cranking no leg. Hey,
You did this.
Girl, you gotta crank like. Hey, it's real Scooby snacks in there, good. Oh, let me get some of them, boo.
Let me get some of them more.
Thank you, my boo. Bro, how y'all doing today? Y'all good? You got horses? How many you got? I got 15.
And you got the costume on with some slides. That's what we do.
I got the slide on too. I forgot my boots at home. I was supposed to put the cowboy boots on.
This was Panthers colors 2001. Oh, cute.
I say.
What a dude. What a bro.
Some of them Scooby snacks, Bo.
Restaurant at this year's Artist Fair. Go online at socialgratitude.com. Eat, drink, listen, and play.
Meet Cheryl. Hey, she's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately.
So there's this one hashtag, which I'm not saying on the air, that keeps showing up about November. And I don't know if it's showing up.
Are the
on
initials NNN?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not clicking on it either. But it could very well have to do with almonds. I don't know.
No, it doesn't. It's
Okay.
exactly what you think it is.
Okay. All right.
It's exactly what you think it is.
I'm definitely not saying it on
It
the
is
air.
a month to
Yeah, no.
focus in on oneself.
No,
we'll
I get
say.
it. I get it.
Yeah.
It's a month of celibacy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Wrap it up. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Rob and the great one, Lonzo, with you. It is a Friday. Got to get down on Friday. Do you want to be a part of the show? 844-326-3663. That is the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone, 844-FANFONE. You can also text us 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN.
This is amazing what's happening. And I knew it was going to happen eventually. You just said 60.
So, I don't know what you would say. I've been hanging out with Xavier, with XL, riding dollar bill.
Yeah, because you're not married to someone with that kind of accent.
Bro, listen. Even when she gets frustrated, the Peltzer comes out a little bit, the Anderson comes out a little bit. And as I've said before on the show, I think it's hot. Okay? Chick with an accent, mwah. Art. Thank you, universe, for creating this wonder. Okay? Big fan. Even when and the accent is thickest from her, when one of two things happens. Number one, we go back up and visit her parents in Anderson. All right? She hangs out there, 2-3 hours, it'll start to come out a little bit. Or number two, when she gets frustrated with me, all right, which is, we'll say occasional. And the accent comes out. Bro, in the most frustrated with me moments of her life, she's 7% of Xavier Leggett. I mean 7% of Xavier Leggett.
That'll be great, man.
Not even in the ballpark. And there is this, I don't know if you experience. I try to be cognizant of it. I also know I am guilty of it, and I know some of you in the Armada have called me out of it before. But, I think there's a psychological reason for doing it. But if I had to talk to somebody that has some sort of accent or particular way of talking, there are little elements of it that will start to creep into the way that I speak to them. And I think to some degree, not everyone does this, but a lot of people do. And I think it is a way of trying to connect with that person, right? Like if I talk a little bit more the way that you talk and you talk a little bit more the way that I talk, we'll more easily subconsciously connect with each other and enhance whatever the interaction is, conversation or whatever. And then there's also just, how can you not love this guy? I think a lot of people, again, not everybody, but a lot of people tend to, at least in some way, shape, or form, emulate people that you like, people that you appreciate, people that you are fond of. Xavier Legette's my favorite football player in the NFL that doesn't play for the New Orleans Saints. And I got to tell you, it's a dwindling number of New Orleans Saints that qualify for that. Xavier Legette's one of my favorite dudes in the NFL overall. And on top of that, name me one person who doesn't love XL. Name me somebody. There is only one group of people who don't like Xavier Legette, and those are the people that go, oh, well, he played at South Carolina, so bleep him forever.
I think some of them probably like him too.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
There have been some players that transcend that, like Marcus Lattimore, like a bunch of Clemson fans. The majority of them like Marcus Lattimore.
Sure.
Because
he's a good dude.
He's just a good dude.
Yeah.
And Xavier Legette seems to be the same way.
100%. So, you listen to a clip. Lonzo found a clip of Xavier Legette that I had not seen till this morning, where some of the Panthers went for Halloween yesterday. I guess it was yesterday. Went in costume to a local children's hospital to hand out candy to the kids in the children's hospital. And first and foremost, the boys on the squad made XL dress up as Woody from Toy Story and ride Woody's horse around. What do you call those things? A stick horse? You know what I'm talking about?
The name of the horse is Bullseye.
The name of the horse is Bullseye, but like the stick.
Yeah,
it's
it's a stick horse. I don't know how else to explain it. Yeah,
they made him ride a stick horse around the hospital. That they put a name tag on Bullseye, called a dollar bill. Dollar bill. No R, dollar bill. And not only did he genuinely the entire time ride that stick horse around that hospital, but as he was doing so, he was telling the other guys on the squad, no. You don't ride dollar bill by just, moving your hand around. You gotta gallop. You gotta get into it. The feet gotta move a little bit. But he's doing it as Xavier Legette, as XL. And it's just absolutely beautiful. Steven on the Facebook chat, who has a Clemson Tiger paw in his avatar, says he played for the Lamecocks, but I love Xavier Legette. Another texter on the text line said, Clemson fan, love me some XL. Another texter said, as a Clemson and Panthers fan, I love XL. ... Now. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I don't understand how you could dislike this individual. Like, I don't understand how you're not actively rooting for this guy to become one of the biggest names in the league.
When the teams were playing each other, I get it. That's I completely get it. But yeah, he is. I wish we could get him on a show. I would love to interview him. That would be so much fun.
As the official Xavier Legette translator of the Upstate, yes. And I will have you know that we get to put in interview requests. They are hard to come by. And I will also tell you, and I totally understand this. And this is not just true of the Carolina Panthers. This is true of most teams. When teams are this bad, they start to shell up, right? When teams are this bad, they start to do fewer and fewer media appearances and public appearances that aren't directly controlled by the team's public relations. As teams are as bad as Carolina is, they start to shell up. They stop providing as regular media access as they usually provide of players, right? Like the coaches have certain obligations they have to meet. But like Dave Canales will do his coaching show. You may have noticed since the beginning of the season or since he got hired, you don't see as many Dave Canales like interviews, right? When he got hired, he was on NFL Network every morning. He was on, WFNZ in Charlotte all the time. He was doing all these different media appearances. So outside of press conferences, when's the last place you saw Dave Canales?
I've seen some clips here and there, but it's not him on a show or anything.
Right. It's usually from press conferences or team released media. The more that a team stinks, and this team stinks, the more that a team stinks, the less access the public gets to that team. And it makes sense because the last thing that you want, Dallas is going through this right now because what's Stefan's brother's name? I'm totally drawing a blank. The defensive back, the other Diggs down there in Dallas. Apparently one of the media members that was covering their game last week said something about Diggs misplaying a ball. And he did. The guy in the media was right. But Diggs came out of the locker room after the game, wasn't even out of his pads and his jersey yet, fully uniformed, came out and walked right up to this cat. Right up to this cat. And he's like, oh, you got that take? He literally said to him, Lonzo.
Let me tell you, you don't know ball.
Literally said, let me tell you, you don't know ball. He said, if that's all you took away from this, you don't know ball. And then he dropped you've never played, so you don't know ball on him. And I'm like, that's the laziest take from professional athletes. The laziest take in the game was, you've never played, so you don't know ball. I don't have to do a thing to learn about a thing. I don't have to. Now, you can say that there are elements that you can't understand without having done it, right? I can diagnose a battle from the Revolutionary War without being able to sympathize with what the soldiers on the battlefield were going through.
So when he says you never played the game, was he specific to the NFL? Because he doesn't know that reporter hadn't played.
Well, again, let's keep it a buck here. He wasn't going down the path of actually caring about this guy's experience. What he wanted to do was, I do this thing, therefore I'm right, you're wrong. As if the guy didn't have a point, right?
Never heard that before.
Yeah, exactly. Like, again, you can know the game without having played the game. Now, you may not be able to know, the way that chemistry in a locker room develops. Or how do you handle a conflict between your center and your quarterback in the locker room if they're not on the same page? Yeah, you're right. I don't understand those things because I've never had to do that before. But I don't need to have played ball to understand what offense is going to work against the cover one that rolls into a cover two. I can diagnose that without having ever been on a football field. The point of all this, though, is that was a real bad look for Diggs. That was a real bad look for the Dallas Cowboys at a point in time where, yeah, they had won, but this season is not going the way that the Cowboys anticipated this going. And so basically they've sent Jerry Jones out as the voice of the Cowboys, right? Like, he's the one that has been doing most of the talking for this team. And even that's been going real bad because when you send a player out, when you send a coach out in public, unless you've really genuinely done your homework about a host, and even sometimes when you do that, it doesn't matter. You don't know what kind of stuff they're going to pepper a player or a coach with. And you can even, I've seen hosts do this before. It's a big risk. But some teams, and I will say the Carolina Panthers have never done this to me. Never. In all the years we've been covering them, all the interviews that we've done with the Heckers and the Smiths, and the head coaches we've had come through here and the GMs we've had on the show and yada, yada, yada. The Panthers have never said to me, hey, here's a list of approved questions, or send over the list of questions so we can tell you which ones we are not comfortable with you asking. They trust us, right? But not every host is that forthright with the way that they handle stuff. And so the last thing that you want to do is send a player or a coach or whatever blind onto a radio show and have them get jumped about the team by a media member who is, Either A, genuinely a fan and very angry, or B, trying to make a name for themselves. You don't want to do that, right? I'm not going to send Xavier Leggett out onto a show that I don't know and trust the host, only for him to get blasted by questions that are set up and designed to make him and the team look bad. And that happens regularly. That happens. So, I get it. I've had it pointed out to me a handful of times this year that we don't seem to be doing nearly as much as we have in the past as far as having Panther personalities come on, right? And a chunk of the reason for that is they're not, understandably, I'm not upset about it, they're not really making themselves as available as they have in years gone by. Because it's not just that they're bad this year, it's that they've been bad for a couple of years, that the fans are wildly frustrated, and that it doesn't feel on the outside looking in as if it is getting better. On the outside looking in to casual fans, on the outside looking in, it looks like this team is just kind of spinning the wheels in the mud right now. Now, I don't agree with that. I do think there is a direction. I think there is a plan. You may not agree with it, like it, whatever. I do think there is a direction and a plan, but I also think that this direction and this plan is going to take another. This is why I've been saying to Rashad Beard, and we'll talk to him coming up here in less than an hour. I've been saying for a while, to me, 2024 ain't about 2024. 2024 is about 2025. It's about clearing the books. It's about finding the dogs. It's about cleaning out the junk from the Fitterer years and getting the Morgan years underway. And I think it's going to take some time to get there. All right, when we come back here in just a minute, next segment, the audio blitz, best audio we've picked up over the past couple of days and our reaction to it. Then at 8:20, Lonzo and I will take a look at the college football weekend upcoming. Give you some thoughts, predictions, projections, prognostications. 9 o'clock, Kevin and John from Moving the Chains come by, talk to you about the high school football weekend upcoming. And then the rest of the ride after that, NFL and college football into the weekend. The Rob Brown Show continues after Lonzo seduces you with this sports flash. It's November. You can't do that.
Or tries not to die. The New York Jets broke a 5-game losing streak last night with a 21-13 win over the Houston Texans. Aaron Rodgers completed 22 of 32 passes for 211 yards and 3 touchdowns, outdueling C.J. Stroud, who was only 11 of 30 for 191 yards with no touchdowns. Garrett Wilson made an amazing touchdown early in the fourth to take the lead. You should see the catch. It's really, really, really cool. The Atlanta Braves made their first offseason move yesterday, trading outfielder Jorge Soler to the LA Angels in return for right-handed pitcher Griffin Canning. Canning was a second-round pick who debuted in 2019 and posted a 5.19 ERA in 31 games for the Angels last year. Tune in tomorrow at noon as Furman Paladins take on the VMI Keydets. It's Furman versus VMI right here on your home for Paladins football. The Fan, Upstate.
Over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house we go. Unless your tires are bald, then you could be stranded by the road, or worse. Hey, this is Diesel from 93.3 The Planet and a fan upstate. I get it. Nobody likes to budget for a big purchase like tires, but you can't get around on worn-out skis forever. My friends at R&R Tire Express can get you safely back on the road weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly payment options. Locations in Greenville, Spartanburg, and Anderson. Online at rnrtires.com.
Open enrollment is here. Don't be frustrated by having to choose your health plan on your own. Visit scbluehereforyou.com to schedule an appointment at the South Carolina Blue Retail Center on Woodruff Road in Greenville. Casey and his local licensed health insurance experts can help you find a Blue Cross Blue Shield South Carolina plan for 2025 that fits you and your budget. Schedule a no-cost appointment today at scblue.
So I don't know if you, more than likely you guys saw it yesterday, but shout out to Diesel for killing Halloween yesterday. It was amazing. Dude, you haven't seen it. No, just look up the video. I'm not going to spoil it. I want you to see it without, it was so good. I want to see when you see it. He beat us. He beat us. I mean, now I didn't listen to see if he actually went Bob Ross voice for the entire show, but Diesel is Bob Ross. Also, Cole Bryson is lame. Yeah. I mean, you know.
That's excellent.
Yeah, I was not expecting it. I just jumped on social media and was looking. I was like, what?
That's excellent work from D-Train. Bravo, young man. Bravo. Good work from Diesel.
Game recognizes game. I mean, we came strong yesterday, and I just think Diesel won. I just, you know when you've been beat. Devil lost to Johnny. We lost to Diesel. There you go. You just randomly pointed. I'm like, what?
No, I went, yeah. Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show starts now. Ladies and gentlemen, 8 o'clock in the morning. Welcome in. Great to have you. Rob the Great Malonzo with you, rolling all the way up till 10 a.m. And then we are done until Monday. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to a phenomenal football weekend. Looking forward to some phenomenal content. College football this Saturday is going to rock, and we're going to talk about that coming up in the next segment. But now at 8 o'clock, it is time for the Audio Blitz. Some of our favorite audio that we have picked up over the last however long it's been since the last time we did this segment. We begin with Scott Hansen. We all know Scott. We all love Scott. Scott, host of the NFL Red Zone. All the games for 7 hours of uninterrupted football on Sunday. Scott Hansen is an absolute dude, and I love the absolute dude. He was on Julian Edelman's podcast this past weekend and was discussing some elements of the NFL Red Zone. We start with this one, the origin of the Octo Box, the best moment of Sundays is the Octo Box. Scott Hansen explains how it came about.
Always wondered the origin of the Octo Box.
When you played on Monday Night Football, the first thing before the kickoff ever happened, if you watch it on TV, what do? They do that, but the first visual live from the stadium is the blimp shot.
Show how big it is.
It just gives that feel, and the announcer gets that growl in his voice and stuff. So I said, we need to come up with NFL Red Zone's version of the blimp shot. And I said, guys, if we've got 8 games, why don't we just take 8 games, divide it into 8 boxes, and put them on there just to show people for 10 seconds, like a blimp shot. Psychologically, it gives you that feel, right?
Yeah.
Back in the 90s, we used to call 2 screens in television, we would call it a double box, but the anchor would never say that. I said, screw that. I'm gonna call it what it is. Let's go double box right now. Let's go quad box. Ladies and gentlemen, the Octo Box. 8 games kicking off across the National Football League, 3 division games in Atlanta, in New England, and in Miami. Octo Box was a creation based on my psychological view of a blimp shot.
Uncle Scott. I love that.
Now that's fun. And I dig it. As somebody who's been in television production before, it's brilliant. It's branding. It does give you that sense of, hell yeah, it's time, right? It's fantastic. It's my second favorite thing that Scott Hansen talked about. The other, well, those of you out there that are football widows on Sunday, I know my wife is. You'll connect with this one.
How much do wives hate
No,
you?
there are, first of all, there are many, many beautiful, wonderful female football fans who love NFL Red Zone as much as y'all.
Check the numbers.
However, there are a sub-segment of society that I affectionately refer to as Red Zone widows.
Ooh. Red Zone
They
widow.
do not have a
it.
husband
This
for
guy's-
7
we got
straight
catchy
hours.
phrases for everything.
I mean, I talk for a living, Jules.
You're freaking good, dude.
I did an autograph signing one time, and this old guy comes up and he's like, "Hey, Scott, I love Red Zone. It's a great way to watch." "Oh, thank you. Okay, your name's John too, John." Scott Hansen. And this woman comes from back of the line, and she looks about 70-something years old, and she gets up next to this guy. She looks at me. She looks at the picture that I'm signing of me, and she goes, "Oh, is that him?" And I'm like, "You must be a Red Zone widow." Red Zone relationship counseling.
I love it. We might be onto something here.
NFL Wed Zone.
Red Zone. He's thought about this.
The NFL Wed Zone. Now, I used to do a segment back in the day. I used to do a segment called Dr. Love, and I called it that only so that I could play like 2 seconds of the Kiss song, Dr. Love, where I would offer relationship advice to dudes and chicks from a sports perspective, right? Like, is there an issue going on that's causing havoc in your relationship as a sports fan? Call Rob Brown, the Doctor of Love. My favorite story ever was a guy who said, my wife doesn't like football. Our anniversary, because we had a fall wedding, falls on this day, and his team was playing for, if I recall correctly, it was like a conference championship, right? Ticket to go to the Super Bowl. And he's like, my wife does not care. She's like, we're celebrating on our anniversary, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And so I got to take her out to dinner at the same time that the team's playing in a conference championship. How do I handle this? And I said, look, here's what you do, man. What you do is you book a restaurant. You take the time to do the research. You book a restaurant that has a TV over the bar. You book the restaurant in advance. You tell that restaurant, here's the deal. I need that table. You pick a table that has a view and angle of the TV. You say, I need that table. And when we are seated, make sure that the host or the hostess or the server or whoever seats us, make sure that they pull out the chair for my wife. That leaves the other chair that faces the TV open for me. And what I need you to do is, I need you, when you're talking, anytime she looks at something else, that's your chance to glance up at the TV. But don't make it obvious. Just a quick glance, see what's happening, see where you are in the game, whatever. My other advice was, when she's getting ready, and this is nefarious, I'm not saying you do this. I'm saying this is how you buy yourself some time. Because I think he said the reservation was for like 10, 15 minutes into the game. I said, if you need some time to like pregame to get ready for this, whatever jewelry you know she's going to wear, hide one piece of it. All right. Not anywhere, like don't put it way back in the back of a closet or whatever. Hide it somewhere she will find it. But hide it somewhere that it's going to take her some time to find it. So instead of, being all up in your grill during get ready time, she's looking for this jewelry, because she's not going to say, oh, I can't find this thing. Right. Especially if it's something you gave her. It'll buy you some time to watch the pregame, to take in tape or whatever you got to do. I like that Scott Hansen has named it the NFL Wed Zone for his relationship advice segment. That's beautiful. That's glorious. That's very well done. The conversation about who's the GOAT of any sport has gone on for a very long time. Is it Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James in the NFL? Is it Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes? Can you take it back to Montana and Young, et cetera, et cetera? You know, if a GOAT, if a guy in that discussion decides to chime in, you should listen to him. Here's a clip. It's a little bit older. I've never heard it before, though, so I don't know how many of you have, of Michael Jordan getting into the GOAT in basketball discussion.
I beg to differ, and I'll give a different analogy to that because, first of all, you're never going to say who's the greatest of all time. To me, I think that's more for PR and more for selling stories and getting hype. Jack and Tiger never played against each other. They never played in the same tournament. They never played with the same equipment. They never played with the same, length of golf course. I never played against Will Chamberlain. I never played against, Jerry West. To now say that, one's greater than the other is being a little bit unfair, How
do we feel about that take? Mike says you can't name a GOAT because you're talking about guys who played in different decades in different worlds.
I think I've been saying that for a while.
I don't have an issue with the take, except I think there are some guys who very clearly stand out. I think Mike very clearly stands out in the conversation. Now, what you can't do, here's what I thought of after I listened to that. What I thought was, I don't know that you can name a GOAT in terms of X beats Y if they play each other. If Tiger and Jack played each other with the same equipment, yada 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 yada, then I think you're in a spot. It's a different thing to say who's most accomplished. But there's no question Tom Brady's the most accomplished quarterback of all time. There are a few guys that I think rise above the GOAT conversation. And you go, the GOAT is in terms of accomplishment, not in terms of actual performance, right? Could Michael beat LeBron? Could LeBron beat Michael? Could Kobe beat Michael? Could Kobe beat LeBron? Could LeBron beat Kobe? I don't know. You had some crossover with LeBron and Kobe, but you had a very young LeBron and a Kobe wrapping up his playing days. So I don't know that is necessarily fair, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. But I think when a guy has that much accomplishment that stands out amongst all the best of his day, then you can say there are other guys. You got guys in the NBA that have 11 rings. Yeah, they're in that discussion. I got Mike who's got 6. Yeah, he's in that discussion. But Mike also had 6, plus how many Defensive Player of the Year awards, plus how many MVPs, plus how many All-Star appearances, yada, yada, yada. So I think I agree with Mike. If the discussion is, if I put X versus Y, who wins that matchup? I don't know that you can answer that. If I took Mahomes and I took Brady and I put them on opposite teams, but the teams were identical. They had the same center, the same guard, the same tackle, the same defenses playing against each other. Who's the better quarterback? I don't know that we can answer that. I genuinely don't know. But in terms of who accomplished more against their league in their day, today, the answer is Tom Brady's untouchable. Will he stay untouchable forever? I don't know. Will Patrick Mahomes catch him? I don't know. I honestly think if Andy Reid leaves Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes comes back to earth. But maybe we find out, maybe we don't. James Jones is a former NFL player who said he believes the age of the rivalry is dead.
I hate everything about this. The competitive nature of our game is going. Everybody's worried about the fame, the stardom, and all that. Nobody's worried about the competition no more. This right here screams to me, that's my homeboy. I ain't worried about him playing over there. There's no rivalries in football no more, real rivalries. Not on the field, not off the field. There's no more real rivalries. I always remember the old school players because a lot of them are scouts now, probably in y'all building too with the Eagles. I remember them all always saying, man, we were the dog jaw. I'm like, bro, shut up. What you talking about? But they right. They was way more of dogs than us. They played way harder. They way more rivals, way more competition. I remember Sammy Seal. I had a conversation with Sammy Seal, and he said he played DB. He was a scout for the Packers. And he said, I used to grow my nails out real long. Because at the end of the game, DB, the receiver going to have scratches all on his neck. Like, that's how, like, the rivalry was back in, it was just different.
He said, shut the... Anyway,
I beg to differ, but anyway, I'm always going to err on the side of caution.
Either way, what James Jones was talking about there was Micah Parsons of the Dallas Cowboys has a podcast, and his freaking co-host is Darius Slay of the Philadelphia Eagles. These guys do a pod together. This is supposed to be the biggest rivalry in the NFC East, right? These two teams are supposed to hate each other, and James Jones goes, rivalries are dead. This shows that level of competition ain't there anymore. When you got guys from supposedly two of the biggest rivals in football, and on their off days, they just have a podcast with each other, rivalries are dead. My answer is, no, they're not. No, they're not. The fact that you had players back in the day who said, we grow our fingernails out so that we can scratch up a wide receiver's neck and arms during games, you understand that's silly, right? You understand that's gross. That, like, I don't understand how that makes you think your rivalries are better. No, that just means you got weird dudes that were out there playing. I promise you, when Micah Parsons is playing the Eagles, he's trying to rip Jalen Hurts' head off. All right? You ever watch that guy play? He's real good, and he plays real angry. This whole concept that the rivalries are dead because guys aren't growing out their fingernails to scratch each other up. Guys aren't underneath the scrum doing like, oh God, who was the John Lynch. John Lynch has told stories. He's like, if I'm in the scrum and the ball's on the ground and I'm down there and I see a finger wrapped in a different color than mine, I'm breaking that finger. That's psychopathic behavior, dude. Like, that's nuts, right? Or am I just a big softy? That's nuts.
I remember, and this was high school, going into a game where the coaches are like, listen, they're going to do this to you underneath the piles. They were grabbing chunks of flesh to the point where we didn't get in trouble because you saw one play where it's just me and a defensive end just coming down with hammer fists because they just reached out and and some teams were coached that way.
I mean, I just don't get it.
Isn't that right, Clemson? Oil check.
I just don't get it. I just don't understand it. Like the rivalry's dead. No, it's not. No, it's not. There's just people aren't psychopathic anymore. And in the second hand, I will say he is right.
They're just more clever about it. I don't believe that kind of stuff doesn't still go on down in the pile to a degree.
Well, I think there's that. I also think there's 70,000 camera angles around the stadium now. Like it's hard pressed to get away with that stuff now. You're not getting away with it as much anymore.
If you can't see the ball in the pile, you can't see hands and what's being done down there.
I don't disagree, but I mean, you don't hear stories about people doing that anymore because I think we've looked at that and go, yeah, it's kind of barbaric, right? Like we're kind of past that here. All right. We don't do that. And just breaking a dude's finger because he plays for the other team is not the same as beating his ass on a football field.
Hey,
I don't get it.
Keep your finger in the fist and don't get broke.
Remember earlier this week, game 4 of the World Series, where a fan reached over the wall and grabbed the glove of Mookie Betts and pried it open so Mookie dropped the ball? Well, here's something that was both shocking and absolutely not shocking at all. Rob Gronkowski knows that guy.
That guy right there grabbing Mookie Betts' glove.
Don't tell me you know
was
him.
my friend in college.
Gronk, stop it right now.
He was on the ice hockey team, the club Arizona Wildcats team, ice hockey team. And let me tell you, the whole hockey team, they were absolute maniacs. They were undescribable, just how wild animals, yes, how wild these guys were. Him doing that represents him very well. I mean, he is all in for his teams. He is all in for the Yankees. I remember him talking about the Yankees all the time, how he loves them so much. And that describes him perfectly, just doing whatever it takes to help his team out. But he's a beauty.
Okay,
he is a beauty.
Okay,
I just want to say congratulations.
Congratulations
for shining when your moment came.
That is Rob Gronkowski alongside K, a.k.a. Bay Adams, saying, yeah, he knows that guy. Went to college with him, played hockey with him. Shocking.
They said they got a D up.
Shocking.
So it's a catchphrase for them.
You're not on the team. You're not a Yankee. You're a fan. You're not on the team. You don't D up. You're not on the team, fellas. I hope you enjoyed not being at game 5. Listen, as much as that guy was hilarious when he's like, yeah, I told him, ball comes near me, we got to D up. You can't do that, fellas. You can't do it, right? You just can't. It's like a dude goes flying by you on the interstate in a Ferrari. You're like, yo, that's what you do with a Ferrari, but you can't do that right now, man. Time and place. That ain't
all
it.
right, there's a lot of you saying you can't. Shouldn't is probably the right word. Because you absolutely can, because they did.
Lonzo, big semantics guy over here. The inside
that,
the NBA.
That was supposed to be a cut of some sort, and I don't know see how.
The inside the NBA crew. Well, they saw Dwayne Wade's statue too.
Obviously, a great honor for D Wade.
It's a great honor, but they got to take that thing down.
No, it was animated.
No, not animated.
If you made an animated face and then they made a bronze statue,
if you made an ugly statue, that's what it would look like. That thing's awful.
It's not awful. Look, he's making an animated face.
Yeah.
There's a moment.
That was after he saw the statue right there. that's the face he made after he saw that.
One of the best reactions I saw was that, look, if you showed that to 1,000 people and didn't say who just got a statue, would you ever say, "Oh yeah, that's Dwayne Wade"?
I would have said Dwayne Wade making an animated face.
Hey, you know, hey, Kenny, the statue was so bad they had to put all his stats behind it so you know who it was.
That guy, hey, shout out to the statue maker, man.
Yeah, shout out to the statue maker.
You put all that time in it, y'all gonna kill him.
Get your education next time. You're not good at your first job.
Statue's pretty bad.
So here's the thing.
Pretty bad.
Did they draw straws before the show and say one of us has to defend the statue maker and Kenny lost, or does Kenny just need to go home?
No,
I think he just needs to go home. That's bad.
If you didn't see it, Dwayne Wade defended the statue, not with a whole lot of passion.
I was going to say, yeah, I did see it, and wow, he looked like he really was.
D Wade defended the statue, and I think this is one of those things where it's like, yo, if D Wade's okay with it, I'm okay with it. I'm not okay with it. It's bad. Chuck's right. Chuck's the only one, because Ernie was defending it. The only one who didn't really weigh in there was Shaq. But Chuck's right. The statue's horrible, man. It's bad.
All right. I think Dwayne Wade, either he was told that he had to defend it or something, or he's just doing it because.
No, I told you what it was.
Because in the end, it's still a statue of you. It's a bad statue of you.
What it was. The apt comparison is you go over to grandma's on Christmas Day. You go over to grandma's. You have a meeting with grandma, and she gives you an ugly sweater. She gives you a gift that you hate, and you got to pretend to be thankful. All right, let me do this. Kevin, I got Tyler Polak from the Greenville Triumph coming up in the very next segment. Let me get Kevin in here before we go to break. Kevin, I got about a minute. What's up, big dog? Welcome back to the show, brother.
Hey, man, what's happening? Rivals are dead, man. It ain't all about breaking fingers and scratching everybody up, but your mamas and daddies hate each other. Families hate each other that week. Like, we're not trading jerseys and all that and hanging out that week. No. Until this game is over with, then I may talk to you. But before then, no, I hate your guts. I can't stand you. I don't care if we hang out on the weekend all the time. That week there, oh no, I hate you. But now everybody hangs out and have a family reunion and ask how your mama and them doing and all that good stuff. Now, and that way rivals are dead to me.
Yeah.
But I ain't got to poke you in your neck and try to pull your jugular out with my fingers. No, I'm not. Look, I think
that's what we're saying. Kevin, good to talk to you, brother. I appreciate you checking back in. Call back Monday because I do want to continue this conversation. Rivalries ain't dead. We're just not at the point where it's like, I will end your life over the football jersey you wear. Tyler Polak from the Greenville Triumph joins us next. Triumph at home this weekend in a playoff matchup. We'll talk to him about the direction of the team going into the playoffs next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
That world.
one first round action. He is a defender, a vet, and an all-around very handsome and good dude. Tyler Polak joins the show to talk a little Triumph footy. Tyler, what's up, big dog? How we doing, brother? Tyler Polak, do we have you, my man?
Sticky button.
You got me.
There he is. I'm good, big dog. How we feeling getting ready for the playoffs, brother?
Yeah, feeling good, especially after you call me young man. That's going to push me through tomorrow's game.
Listen, if you when you guys get the dub and the inevitable, I'm telling you, the Tarps Off for Tyler campaign still running strong, Tyler. When you net one tomorrow, I'm taking full credit now that you've said that.
Oh, yes. And then I'll be celebrating right in front of you guys, and then I'll be drinking beers with you too. So it'll be beautiful.
See, this is why I love Triumph footy. I'm getting told by a vet, by a cap, by an icon to the team that once he nets that elusive Tarps Off for Tyler goal, he's coming to stone cold a couple of brews in the riot section. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm here for it. Hey, talk to me a little bit about the run up to the playoffs. This team's kind of been on a roller coaster, really, really hot start. Had a couple of games there in the middle where the goals were a little difficult to come by, but ultimately able to secure a home playoff round one matchup. Just kind of talk to me about the mentality of this team through the season leading up to the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, I thought overall it was a very good season. Like you said, we had a hot start, and inevitably there's some injuries, so you have to adapt and change. And unfortunately, we couldn't, get goals or keep goals out. But we got some guys back healthy, and kind of went on that run. And yeah, like you said, got the home playoff game, which is huge. I mean, the fans want that. And we hope to put on a show for him tomorrow and keep this thing going.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Tyler, we both been around the game a very long time. We know that there's a lot of cliches that float around about home field advantage and being in certain spots. But for a game like this one, especially when you are trying to build momentum up in round one to have a long playoff run, I mean, without dabbling into the cliches, how big of a deal was it for you guys to lock in at least one? Because there is a path to hosting another, but how big was it to lock in at least the first round at the house?
Yeah, huge. I mean, that sets the tone for the rest of the playoffs. I mean, we showed what we can do at home last Saturday, and I think that was great for the guys to win that derby and get the trophy. I think it gives them a little bit of confidence going into this weekend, knowing what they're fighting for, a little bit more important of a trophy. But we ride the momentum and get the win on Saturday, and then we move forward and see what our path holds as far as the next game.
One Knoxville is an interesting team, a newer team to USL League one that's still kind of developing. And sometimes when you have a team like this, Tyler, can be kind of tough to really nail down what the identity of that team is and what the best tactics to counter what they want to do might be. So from y'all's perspective, talk to me about the opponent tomorrow, One Knoxville SC.
Yeah, we've played them a couple of times this year. They pose a strong defense, so I think it's going to be about breaking down that block. And we've done it in the past. It's just about executing tomorrow and making sure we lock in defensively. But they're a good team. We just got to bring the right mentality, the same one we brought last Saturday, and just keep that going.
It's interesting the clash of identities between these two teams, Tyler, because you've got One Knoxville trying to make a name for themselves, have their first playoff bid. On the flip side, here's the Greenville Triumph, have been to the playoffs every year of their existence, have a USL League One championship to show for it, which you were a part of. It's kind of in a way a legacy team trying to defend against a newcomer to this league, trying to make a name for themselves. Does any of that factor into the lead up to the game for Coach Wright and for you guys?
I mean, not particularly. I mean, I think we need to use our experience, like you said. We've been here before, and we got some experienced guys that have been to other playoff games and championship games. So we need to use that and lean on that. We have some young guys, fresh guys that I know are eager to play in this. And we need them to match the intensity, which I think we will do. We just need to get the goals. I mean, that's the most important thing. And I think we're riding that high from last Saturday, like I said. And, we'll get the job done. 5 goals against Tormenta. And I feel like that's a big deal, Tyler, because
This is a Tormenta team that was not in a playoff spot. There was nothing. There was really no impact for them. And those teams, to me, at the end of the year, those teams can be dangerous, right? They've got nothing but pride in the crest on the line. And yet you guys came in. It was a little chippy up front, a couple of spots here and there. Obviously, guys like Aaron over there, long history between they and the Triumph. But despite the fact that I felt like Tormenta was trying to kind of muck up the game a little bit, it really felt like you guys were as dialed in and focused as I've seen the Greenville Triumph all year long.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a great time to be doing that. And obviously it's a bit of a trap game where they're not really, fighting for anything except for contracts and pride and trying to ruin our home playoff match. So we really had to lock in, which I thought we did, and executed up top perfectly. And we made things a little interesting with the first goal given up, but we produced. And, I think we can do the same thing tomorrow, and I think it's going to be a great day. We just need to get that first goal and then play it out from there.
Some of the guys that are playing up front, Lion, et cetera, Leo, these guys have really kind of picked it up a notch the last couple of weeks. I've had conversations with buddies before that I've said, I believe that starts to the back, right? Like it starts from you guys across the back line that have kind of been able to build some walls in front of teams like Tormenta that have really opened up the field for these guys to get up, to play. I don't want to say reckless, but to really be on the accelerator into the front end of the field. Like I told Rick Wright at the ceremony on Wednesday, I've been so impressed with the way that the back line has felt like a stalwart of this team so far this year. What would you, if you agree with that, attribute that to? Has that just been something you guys have been dialed in on making sure was a presence to free up the guys up front?
Yeah, I mean, I give them kudos. We try to do our job at the back, and we basically just give them the ball and make sure that they do their job, and that relieves so much pressure from the back line if we can get a goal early, and then we can really get on top of the team and kind of set the tone. And, I give all credit to them because Limes obviously had an incredible season, Golden Boot. He's had plenty of assists. And then we've had other young guys come in and make a difference. And obviously Leo up top, who's been around the game so long and has so much experience. He has kind of been the forefront, just giving him the ball, and he relieves that pressure. So it's honestly pretty easy. We just give them the ball and just let them do their thing because Liam has obviously been a force to be reckoned with this year, and it's pretty tough to stop, as you can see. So hopefully he continues that path tomorrow and get the W.
One more for Tyler Polak as we get set. The Greenville Triumph hosting at Knoxville 1 tomorrow. Paladin Stadium, 2 p.m. kick in a first-round matchup in the USL League One Championship. Obviously, you guys, Rick, right at the helm for the first time. First time going to the playoffs without John Harkes as the man in charge. What differences, what philosophy changes, what have we seen, or what will we see tomorrow out of a Rick Wright-led playoff team?
I don't think you'll see too much difference. I know for sure when we do get that first goal, we're not going to let off the gas. We're going to, go for more like we did Saturday against Tormenta. We're going to keep going. We want to put, separation between us. Football, it's, there's anything can happen. And anything will happen. So you got to be ready for it. So getting as many goals as possible is huge. So we're just trying to lean on our attackers, like I said, and keep the separation. So we'll keep the pedal on the gas and give you guys a show.
Tyler Polak, defender for the Greenville Triumph again tomorrow, Paladin Stadium, 2 p.m. first round USL League One playoff matchup against Knoxville SC. It is going to be a riot. Tailgate starts at 11, kickoff at 2. Tyler, my man, as always, great to have you, buddy. Good luck tomorrow. And I'm coming with a jacket that just unbuttons so I can get quick with the Tarps Off campaign.
I love it. I'm ready for it. But I appreciate it, and thank you so much. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
My guy, Tyler Polak, absolute legend. Greenville Triumph at the house tomorrow, 2 p.m. kick. When we come back, Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast joins us to talk Panther football. They host the Saints on Sunday. We'll break it down next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Rashad Beard, what's up, big dog?
What's going on, guys?
How we doing, brother?
I'm good. All is well, man. No complaints.
Glad to hear it.
Looking good today, guys. What's going on? What's the occasion?
I'm having a funeral because it's the first time in my life that our two teams play, and I'm just whatever.
I get it.
No. We need rivalry. We need fights. You guys are going against your teams going against each other.
It is.
We need to hear some smack talk.
It is so much more fun, Rashad Beard, annually. The 2 times we get to talk, back and forth. I got nothing. I got nothing. I got nothing.
So I should cue up the funeral dirge. That's what I should do.
No, I can do it. I got it too.
So of course you do.
Yeah, you guys are getting car back. So I mean, you're getting your used situation back. You know what I mean? So
word. The interview that you have none been waiting for. At least.
Let's do this. Let's go.
At least.
Yeah.
Ordinarily on Saints Panthers week, when the legendary Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, stops by, usually this is a spot where Rashad and I, twice a year, talk a little bleep back and forth, have a little fun, make fun of the teams a little bit. And I got to tell you, Rashad Beard, whatever. 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 It's whatever.
Yeah, no, it's a unique situation for both teams. We're both kind of backsliding a little bit. And listen, I'm still excited about this. Bryce Young is getting a start, and you all better not let Bryce Young cook you guys up, because it's going to be something to talk about. It will be something to talk about if Bryce Young goes out there and slices you guys up for a little, you know what I mean? So
I mean, all right. Walk me through this. Tell me, where am I at on the scale of fan? All right, because I got to tell you, Rashad, we've already proven we're not firing Dennis Allen for mediocrity. The man's won less than a third of the games as a head coach between then Oakland and now New Orleans. I'm at the point where there's a little part of me, and I don't know, I can't tell you how much it is. There's a little part of me that hopes BY cooks us up, because it might be the only damn way we fire Dennis Allen and move on. And I'm not saying Dennis Allen's the only problem, but that team, clearly they don't fall in line behind Dennis Allen. They don't like this dude. They don't believe in this dude. They don't listen to this dude. We got nothing. So if BY comes out and puts up, let's say, 275 and 3 tutties on my team, maybe that's enough. Because I'm going to tell you what right now what's going to happen is we won't fire Dennis Allen. Clint Kubiak's going to go somewhere else and be the dog I think he can be as an HC, and we're going to end up not doing that. On top of that, if BY cooks, at least he'll show he can cook. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's one way to think about it, right? If BY does go out there and have a great day, which I think he is trending in the right direction based off of the last game. It wasn't perfect by any means, but at least heading in the direction where we think he can at least show us something. I do think he did a decent job against a very good Broncos defense. The Saints defense is good, but it's not the Broncos defense. So maybe Bryce Young can put together something here. And I don't know. We don't have anything to lose, right? There's no point in us not playing Bryce Young and not seeing what we have. And I think he can go out there and play free and take the pressure off. And for your sake, hopefully get your guy fired. And I think it's possible. It's quite possible.
See, I'm noticing a quiet confidence, a storm brewing from Rashad, because he knows that the Panthers are going to beat this horrible team, the New Orleans Saints, and it's going to be a cakewalk. That's what it's going to be. And I could see that. Look at that smile. I mean, he knows that's a knowing smile. One person on this panel happy, the other person's wearing sunglasses. And
I have nothing to lose. I could care less, right? We have nothing to lose. I have nothing to lose here. I have all the confidence in the world, because if we lose, hey, we were supposed to lose. If we win, oh, dude. Oh, you're going to hear it, buddy. You are going to hear it if we happen to win this game.
There is, I said this earlier in the show, Rashad, there is, for your team, for my team, nothing on the line outside of, because like you said, you're supposed to lose. If New Orleans goes into Carolina and wins, I come on next week and I'm like, what's up, Shad? You're like, yeah, dog, that's what it was always supposed to be. If Carolina wins, you might not be on this show next week, dog, because I may not do the show next week. I may just call in sick for the whole week because I will be sick of this crap.
Yeah.
I got to put that.
House money, man. I'm playing with house money here. Low expectations. You know what I mean? If we come away with the victory, yeah, I'm victory lapping. So yeah, I hope to see you next week in a good light.
Gross. That's weak. That's weak, and there ain't a damn thing I can do about it. That's why I hate it. All right, let's jump in here and talk about this game a little bit. I guess we have to. Derek Carr coming back for New Orleans. Ain't played a ball game in 5 weeks, but you all know who Derek Carr is already. Yay. Derek Carr ain't the problem. We got Olave, who seems to be getting a concussion every week. He's like baby Tua Tagovailoa right now. Rashid Shaheed, who was the only deep threat we had, down for the season with an injury. Like, this team's busted up and can't do much. Like, this to me feels like a week that Ejiro and the gang should be full afterburner on the attack defensively. Do you expect to see the defense kind of turn loose a little bit?
Yeah, I think we're getting some guys back. And please, Rob, don't talk to me about injuries, sir. Like, come on. Don't give me the injury excuse. You're talking to a Panthers fan here. We've dealt with more than enough injuries. So hey, looks like we're playing on an even playing field here. So I do it. We'll get some guys back. Hopefully, Wanham will finally get a chance to see him. And again, JC, the defense is getting better. It's not perfect, but we're going to get some guys back potentially, and we'll be able to, hopefully Derek Carr will rattle him a little bit, being his first game back in 5 weeks, like you mentioned. And I think the guys are going to get better, and we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of pride here for the defense. Y'all hung 40 up on us, you know what I mean, last time around. So we got, if there's some time to see a dog, some dog in this team, and Sean Payton, your other guy, last week tried to run the score up on us. So we've got a lot of incentive to go out here and play well and show that we have some fight. And so I think you're gonna see just that this week.
First off, we hung 47 on you. Let's be real clear. Let's be real clear. All right, let's be real clear. I got to take what I can get, Rashad, because I don't have much. All right. Golly. All right. On the other side of the football, offensively, again, you kind of know where the Saints are right now. They're a team that's going to try to take the run away from you and try to get to a quarterback, especially Bryce Young. They're going to try to get back there and do everything you just said about Carr to Spencer Rattler. And yes, we have won a game since, Domo. We went up to Dallas and hung 41 on them. Now, we ain't won a game since then, but we did get Dallas at their house. So at least I got those two.
Shut the hell up.
Nobody asked you, Lonzo.
I was with you.
Okay,
there.
I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure. No, offensively, you do get BY back. Twofold. Start with this. BY should start every game the rest of the year. There is no point in going back to Andy Dalton. You saw, look, the theory was you bring him in so you can show the Canales system works. Okay, you did. You beat Vegas. You competed with Cincinnati, but it's been all downhill since then. I think you roll BY the rest of the season. So if nothing else, you can answer the question at the end of the year. Can he or can't he?
Yeah, I firmly am with that. I've been saying that for a while here. And again, it's not about who the better quarterback is. It's about the future at this point. We know Andy Dalton's probably going to give us a better quote unquote opportunity to win, although I think it's a little bit even. I think that, Bryce should have the opportunity for him to play the rest of the season, and let's see what we have so we can make that decision whether he's going to be a long-term backup or whether he can actually be the franchise quarterback and show something. And so again, I'm not saying that he is the guy. I'm not saying he has to show it, right? He's got to go out there and get better and better and better week in, week out. And by the end of the season, we can make that determination whether we're going to draft a guy, bring in a veteran. But we're only going to know that if we see him, and we have nothing else to play for. That we're not in playoff contention. There's nothing else to do but see if Bryce Young can do this. And so I'm of that thought. Yes, let him play the rest of the season.
So somebody asked me earlier in the week, because I had this take earlier in the week, and somebody said, what's different, right? Like you didn't say that last year. You said, if you put him out there in last year's offense because it's so bad, you're not going to, what's different this year? And the answer is Dave Canales ain't going anywhere, right? Like even if you don't win another game, Dave Canales ain't going anywhere. So even if the team ain't what you want it to be, and it's not, at the end of the day, you've got your coach, you've got your OC, you've got your plan, you've got your system. even if the team's bad, I got to see BY can operate in it and hopefully show some flashes that you go, all right, next year when we've got potentially a number 1 overall draft pick, you moved up in the trade with the, not that it's a huge jump, but you moved up in the Ravens trade for Deontay. We'll talk about that in a second. I got to see if he can handle the system before we worry about, can he handle it with better investments, or do we need to go ahead and figure out how the hell we're going to make a change? Is Shador the guy?
Yeah, I think Canales, like you mentioned, Canales isn't going anywhere. I think he has a quarterback type, and I don't know that Bryce Young fits that type. Although I think that's part of the reason why he was hired. That's neither here nor there. I do think Canales deserves the opportunity to get a quarterback that's going to make his system work, and he hasn't been given that opportunity. He did not select Bryce Young, nor did he select Andy Dalton. So he deserves the opportunity to go and get his guy, whether it's Shador, whether it's Cam Ward, whether it's another veteran out there next year. He deserves that opportunity so that we can see his offense perform at its best. And we just haven't seen that. And that's not his fault entirely, right? He's dealing with some holdovers from the last regime. So that's just what it is. And he just deserves that opportunity to go get his guy.
I don't disagree with that at all. John Brooks, the rumor going around is he could make his debut this weekend. Do we have any news on that you're aware of?
Yeah, I don't have anything. I'm just excited to see it as anybody else. Although I don't want to rush it either. I'm seeing if you take a look at the offense and you see what Miles Sanders is doing, just envision number 24 doing that, because that's what Jonathan Brooks is going to do, catching out the backfield, really smooth running back, and I cannot wait to see him, but I also don't want to rush it. It's coming off of a major injury last year. So let's take the time. We knew it was going to take this amount of time to get him on the field. So let's slow roll it. It's no real rush to get him out there, and let's wait until he's ready.
Yeah, there's no point in hustling him out, right? There's no point in hurrying this. Like, let him take his time. All right, the Deontay trade earlier this week, you move up spots, and there's a chance this could be anywhere. I think the max you're moving up is probably 13 spots. There's also the chance Baltimore wins the Super Bowl, the Carolina Panthers get the 1 pick, and you literally moved up 1 spot. But, and this is the point I made earlier, that dude, I know he said he wanted to stay in Carolina. Realistically, you're cleaning books, probably wasn't going to happen to come back. So as much as it makes the team worse this year, you're a 1-win football team. It's not like there was a whole lot worse to go below that. I actually don't mind the deal. At least you get something out of it as opposed to just letting them walk at the end of it.
I think the deal was, I've got a lot of opinions on this. I don't think the deal was great at all. I think it was, in fact, a terribly structured deal, to be honest with you. We essentially paid the Ravens to take him. So there's some things going on behind the scenes in regards to Deontay. Things will start to come out. I think he was obviously frustrated with the situation. I think when he first got here, things were supposed to be different, right? And they just did not pan out the way he was told. And I think he got frustrated and he wanted to get out. And basically we just gave him away, essentially. Like we moved up a couple of spots. Yeah, we got something, but basically nothing. The goal was to free up a little bit of cap space as well. In offering his contract, we didn't get that either. Like, we paid the Ravens to take him from us, essentially. And it wasn't a good structured deal, but it is what it is. We did get something, albeit very, very, very little, for a talented wide receiver.
Fair enough. Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, joins us every Thursday. I'm going to keep it a buck with you, Rashad. I don't know if I'm coming Sunday yet or not. Like, I want to, but I also really don't.
Now, come on, man. You got to come. We got to take our annual, you know what I mean? You know what we do. We got to go up to the top, enjoy our festivities. Come on, don't do that.
He's going to be there. He just wants you to.
I mean it when I say it. I mean it when I say it. If I'm there Sunday, it's only because we got a 4-year brown liquor streak going that I don't want to break. That's the only reason to drive my ass up to Charlotte this Sunday. That's it.
Absolutely. Let's do it, man. Come on.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. Find him on Twitter at Panther Nation PC. More importantly, go to the YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed up to that. There is no better place to listen to Panther football talk than with Rashad and Dave over on the PNP. Appreciate you, big dog. I will maybe see you Sunday, fella. Maybe.
We'll see. Man. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
My guy, Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. Lonzo with a sports flash.
The New York Jets broke a 5-game losing streak last night with a 21-13 win over the Houston Texans. Aaron Rodgers completed 22 of 32 passes for 211 yards and 3 touchdowns, outdueling C.J. Stroud, who was only 11 of 30 for 191 yards with no touchdowns. Garrett Wilson made an amazing touchdown catch. You guys really need to watch it. It was amazing. A familiar voice to baseball fans has stepped away from the mic. After calling games for 42 years, Bob Costas announced yesterday he's called his last game. The last game was the ALDS series between the Yankees and Royals. Tune in tonight, 7 p.m. as the Burns Rebels head to Boiling Springs to take on the Bulldogs. It's Burns versus Boiling Springs right here on your home for Burns Rebels football. The Fan, Upstate. Thank you, Deontay. Appreciate it. I don't care how bad my team is. I'm going to fight. I mean, I'm just going to fight. Absolutely, Zach. You win this week, you got a good shot at the playoff. You lose, you're probably done if you're the Buckeyes. Especially if you lose Penn State. Indiana's on the horizon, and Michigan is always going to be a thing. So can't look past Penn State, but of course you want to get to the Big Ten championship, a place where the Buckeyes haven't been in a while, to get that rematch with Oregon.
That's hurricanerelief.gop. Or call the North Carolina Republican Party selection.
Oh, Penn State wins. I think they're going to the Big Ten championship. I don't think Penn State plays Indiana. So this could possibly be the Big Ten championship shot. They beat Ohio State. They're probably in playing Oregon. Although if they finish undefeated and Indiana finishes undefeated and Oregon finishes undefeated, then Oregon and Penn State would have the bigger victory, I guess, because they both will have beat Ohio State. So that would leave Indiana out, I think, maybe. I don't know.
I have to go look through the tiebreakers.
Also, is Louisville really a trap game? Are they that bad that you think it's a cakewalk, Zach? Going to be a fun weekend of college football. Also, don't forget, South Carolina playing Texas A&M. It could happen. It could absolutely happen.
Oh, I got to send the email.
You know, classically, I mean, for a while, Clemson has stumbled with someone they shouldn't. In the last couple of years, it was multiple. So we'll see what happens.
Final hour of the Rob Brown Show is underway. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob and Lonzo with you, rolling through a lovely upstate Friday morning. We have got a slam-packed day of NFL football on Sunday. We have got one of the better college football weekends about to start that we have had in a hot minute, but you know, the show all starts up on Friday nights under the light, and some Tuesday nights and Thursday nights. I think there's a couple of Monday nights too. It's a weird year this year thanks to the hurricane in high school football, but there is high school football nonetheless. And to break all of that down, joining us on the live stream, which you can watch at facebook.com/thefanupstate, the Fan Upstate on YouTube, or The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, because we're tech savvy up in here. Joining us now on the show from the Moving the Chains podcast, my guy, Kevin Thomas in the house. KT, what's up, big fella?
Rob, good seeing you, man. An exciting Friday here. You know, it's typically the last week of the season, but this year it is not due to the extension. So excited to have a few more weeks of football in here.
Yeah, couple of extra weeks to make up for some of the time that was lost. Are we relatively mostly caught up with the games that got put off by the hurricane?
For the most part, some teams were playing some, couple games a week type deal for a while, but that is mostly done with now. So we'll see a normal slate this Friday, and then some games next Friday. Then we'll be into the playoffs. So we're pretty much back to a normal once a week type schedule now, and should be wrapping up here shortly.
I love it. All right, let's get into real quickly last week's matchups. Was there anything that jumped out, any abnormal, any upsets, anything that changed playoff thoughts, hopes, aspirations, etc., that you want to bring up for the folks?
I mean, I'll say the big upset last week was Dorman knocking off Gaffney 9-7, and a surprising ball game. The Indians have been rolling, but the offense has kind of disappeared the last couple of weeks, Rob, and that's a little bit of a concern there for them. Dorman, they're really big and physical up front. You know, they lost to Burns a few weeks back before the hurricane. They've had a lot of problems scoring the football, but that defense held Gaffney in check just enough for them to kick a field goal there late and win that one.
Love it. Also joining us now on the show, hey, got out of bed, John Epps is in the house. What's up, big dog?
What's going on? The sun's almost up.
We're working on it, buddy. It's still early. I've only been here 5 hours. It's still early. John Epps, I'll ask you the same question I just asked Kevin a minute ago. Anything last weekend that jumped out to you that you wanted to talk about today?
I think the big thing in the lower classification, Hunter Kenner Tyler, well, a huge blowout of Blackville Hilda. Two good teams, but it was incredible to see HKT just blow them out like they did. I think that final score was 56-17. Gotta give love to the little guys sometimes.
I like that. All right, let's jump into tonight's slate, fellas, and we'll start off with the game that you will hear right here on the Fan Upstate. Of course, the host of Wire to Wire, Cole Bryson, along with Diesel. He'll be live out at Boiling Springs as the Bulldogs get set to host the Rebels this evening. Of course, last week, not what Burns had hoped would happen. They had started to build some momentum. Obviously, tough to do it this year. All road games for this season for the Rebels. They're on the road again, John Epps, at Boiling Springs tonight.
Yeah, I've actually been impressed with Burns this year. They started off slow. They've played pretty good defense all year. Spartanburg just found themselves last week. They ran into a buzzsaw against the Vikings. But Burns has been doing well. They've been doing well in region play. This is going to be a really big game for them for playoff seeding wise. Boiling Springs has had a great season themselves. Kyle Patterson is a really good threat on the outside for the Bulldogs. They got Jeremiah Favorite in the secondary. He's playing big as well this year. He's got 4 interceptions. I think Boiling Springs has got a little bit more talent offensively that will get them ahead of this one in this game. We got 2 good defenses going at in this ball game, but I think Boiling Springs with a little bit more electricity, a little bit more talent on the offensive side of the ball. I see another typical Burns game that we've seen this year, a low-scoring, close ball game.
I dig it. I dig it. Let's go back, Kevin. St. Joe's at Powdersville this evening.
A good 3A matchup. Powdersville can clinch the region with the win. If St. Joe's wins, it'll go down to next week and their matchup with Christchurch. But the Patriots, man, they started off 0-3 non-region, have won now 5 in a row. Gotten really hot at the right time for Coach Mustard, running the football. We got the new quarterback that been breaking in, and Elijah Huggins there as a big-time playmaker, but the defense is playing well. Always a solid recipe for success is run the ball and play defense. They're doing a lot of that right now. St. Joe's last week, Rob, William Gillespie, 13 carries, $153, 4 touchdowns, 7 tackles, a tackle for loss, a fumble recovery, and a successful onside kick. So he was all over the field there for the Knights, man. A team that people didn't expect a whole lot from with a new head coach this year, but they're playing really good football. I think Powdersville, though, too much firepower. I think they win at home and clinch the region tonight.
All right, let's move it on to Wren at West Side, John Epps.
Yeah, this is a region championship here for Region 1 and 4A. Both teams undefeated currently in region play. I think Wren is and I'm going to preface this, Wren is a really good football team, and they've been playing really well this season. I think they're good enough to make this game competitive. They've got Reese Price in the backfield for them. He's had a great season. But the weapons that Westside has, and it's not just on offense, defensively, they're ball hawking all year. And then in special teams is where the Rams really, really make a difference. And I think if we see this game close going into the fourth quarter, I see a special teams play being the difference. You got Armani Weaver back there that's been just absolutely lethal. I said on our show Tuesday, if you run, don't kick the ball to him. Punt it out of bounds, squib kick, kickoffs, do whatever you can to not let him make a big play on special teams and really flip momentum. I think Westside's just got too much talent on all 3 sides of the football in this game. I hope Wren makes it competitive. I hope it's a close game. I just think if it is a close game, Westside's got enough talent and will find a way to win the game in the fourth quarter.
Armani Weaver, they called him Money, former Burns kid who did that to a lot of teams last year, without a doubt. Kevin Greenwood is at Hillcrest. The Rams at the house tonight.
Really big game here. This region is still completely up for grabs. Both these teams have one loss in region play, along with JL Man and TL Hanna also. So we got a big tie at the top at the moment there. So this will go a long way to deciding this. Greenwood has played really good football this year with Tristan Lewis and Elijah Wade and Trey Crawford. A little bit more of a spread it out Greenwood team than you would have seen in years past. They really get the job done on offense right now. Hillcrest found something last week, man. They had 600-plus yards of offense against Woodmont. Caleb Sutton in big game. Starks and Johnson on the ground. Weston Willis just picked up a Furman offer. A receiver had a big game as well for them. And this game is also big, Rob, with them splitting up the 5A this year. Even if you don't win your region, you could potentially get a first-round bye due to the way they're going to do the seeding. So winning this game, even if you lose the region, maybe next week or whatever, this is a really big one for seeding purposes. I think the Rams found something offensively. They looked really crisp last week, and playing at Chandler Stadium, too, should be a great environment. Should be a fun matchup tonight between those two teams.
All right, let's take a look at some of the other ones going on around the upstate, around the state tonight. And I'm going to tell you, one of the things I found interesting, man, I don't know that there may be bigger fan bases. I don't know if there's a fan base that has cared more or sent more messages asking for you guys to break down games than Greer on the road at Daniel tonight.
Greer,
yeah,
man,
I tell you what, Greer. Sorry, Kev, go ahead.
No, you take it, John. You take it.
Yeah, Greer's had a great season. They're undefeated in Region 2 over there. They've had a really good resurgence. Greer, a very proud program. Haven't been great last few years. Didn't know they were going to be that good this year, to be honest with you. And they have really, really played well. Playing for the region championship tonight against Daniel. I want to see, Rob, I want to see this game be competitive. But Daniel is really, really good. I think Greer's good enough to make this a game. I don't know that it's going to be one that goes in the Yellow Jackets' favor. Daniel is just that good. They're that good every year. But I hope we see a great game. This game is over in Central. Love for it to be under the water tower, give Greer a little bit of a better shot. But they've had a great season. They're going to go to the playoffs no matter what happens tonight. And you have to pull for Greer. after the last few years they've had. Lost one of their best players, LaDainian Martin, last year as well. But, hey, they have hauled the mail this year, and they have been really, really good. I'm pulling for them in the playoffs.
I like it. Kevin, talk to me about Greenville at JL Man.
JL Man, the clear favorite here. This is always a fun game. This is, I guess you call it the Spirit Week. I heard there's close to $1 million being raised right now for charity between these two schools. They always do a great job. I also heard a rumor of a Mark Wahlberg cutting a $100,000 check for Greenville. Not really sure if we can confirm that or not, but a really cool story. These two guys always match up well and do a great thing for the community. But JLN, too much firepower, man. They're playing great football right now. Henderson and Martin, like John mentioned, and Morrison. Coach Watson's team is poised for a deep playoff run. Greenville, year one under J-Bo Shaw, not quite at that level right now. I think the Patriots roll.
Spartanburg Vikings, you said it a minute ago, John Epps, found themselves against the Rebels a little bit last week. They take it on the road at Riverside.
Yes, Spartanburg this year, and really under Coach Hodge, it's been the same script of, boy, they can play some really good defense, but they can't score. Well, last week, that was not the problem at all. Lighting up the scoreboard for 58 points. Spartanburg is 6-1 this season. And Kev, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say their one loss was the Dutch Fork.
Correct. Yep.
Who they beat last year. So Dutch Fork had some revenge on them this year. They're undefeated in region play, of course. Spartanburg is playing their best football at a really, really good time. Riverside's had a decent year themselves. They're 4-3 on the year. I think they're just catching this Viking squad at a bad time. I think Spartanburg wins this game. And if they can keep that offense rolling, I don't think it's going to be too close. We'll see if they can do it 2 weeks in a row. If they can, boy, 5A, look out. Spartanburg could be trouble.
Kevin Thomas, John Epps from the Moving the Chains podcast. Join us every Friday at 9 o'clock, straight up on the dot to talk high school football. Where the boys going to be hanging out tonight, Kev?
Heading down to Saluda, a big 2A matchup, but Batesburg, Leesville at Saluda, a little more towards the Midlands, but should be a really fun one down in those lower classes.
All right, real quick, before we let you go, Zach said you should ask Kevin and the boys about the Marlboro County football situation down in the lower state. Am I going to regret asking the boys about the Marlboro County football situation down in the lower state?
It's a long story, Rob, but we'll just say it's ongoing, but there is use of multiple ineligible players is what is going on now. So, yeah, there's still some appeals going on and whatnot, but for as of now, the Bulldogs season is over. But we'll see how that shakes out the next week or so.
I Googled it while you were explaining it and have found that Marlboro County banned from football state playoffs by South Carolina High School League. And that article is on Sports Illustrated. This is apparently a thing.
Yeah, it's one of those regional Sports Illustrated, you could say, I guess, where they have the certain areas they kind of cover. It's not the big magazine, but yeah, it's a interesting decision. We've had some reports from the district that they were, had these athletes cleared 2 times, and now they're coming back and saying they're ineligible. So a little bit of back and forth. He said, she said, who's living where, whose parents' names on what lease, yada, yada, yada. A lot to be gone through still. They went into the meeting Wednesday saying that they had 8 ineligible players. Coming out of that meeting, they believe the number may only be 2 now, and they're going to review those 2 as well. So it's not done yet. We'll put it that way.
Fun! That seems fun. Kevin Thomas, John Epps from the Moving the Chains podcast. You can find them on all the social media at Moving Change. You can also check them out on X, where going live tonight, as always, I'm assuming.
Yes, sir.
The boys do a live wrap-up show on X. If you go find them there at Moving Chains, they'll give you scores and stats from around the state as they roll in. Fellas, appreciate it. As always, boys, well done.
Appreciate you.
Looking good, Rob.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Kevin Thomas, John Epps, Moving Chains on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, all that. You can find their website at Moving Chains, no G, movingchains.com, and find the podcast wherever podcasts are found. Boys, enjoy the football tonight, and good luck to Los Tigres against Louisville coming up this week. A little bit of a trap game there.
Yeah, Louisville, they always play wild games, it seems like, and I don't want to be a part of one, but here we are.
They got a good quarterback. We'll see what happens.
They do have a good quarterback. We're going to talk Clemson and Louisville, as well as South Carolina and Texas A&M when we come back. John and Kevin, appreciate it as always. Moving Chains and the Moving the Chains podcast. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
See you guys.
See you, fellas.
Fellas, appreciate you, boys. Well done. Be right back, guys.
Also, just want to see what happens if I Google goose feet. Yeah, I guess I never really thought about it. So that would be why they couldn't land on that thing out there, because they'd just fall. Because they wouldn't be able to hold on to it.
Yeah, they definitely can't grasp.
I just wanted to talk about goose feet. If you have goose feet, I'm sorry. I don't know if that's a thing. I know horsefoot's a thing.
There are people who have webbed feet.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know that. They swim really well. I know some people have like web, like the whatever that is, the piece of skin in between their fingers, and they look like they're from Atlantis. I wonder if that's considered an advantage if they happen to be a swimmer, if they could be disqualified because.
I don't think so. I think as long as it's not surgically created.
Brought to you by Balance of Nature. Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time. After a week off, Furman football is back in action on Saturday afternoon. The Paladins take the show on the road to Lexington, Virginia to take on BMI. Hi, everybody. I'm Dan Scott, voice of the Paladins. Join David Cobb and me as we bring you all the action of the Paladins and the Keynets from Lexington, Virginia. Pepsi Countdown to Kickoff begins at noon. Kick at 1:30. It's Furman, it's BMI, and it's all on the Fan Upstate.
Clemson taking on Cardinals this Saturday. Back at the crib, back at the house. Is this a trap game? I've heard a couple of people call it a trap game so far this morning. Is this a trap game? I got to tell you, I think the scenario for which we could return on Monday and say it is a trap game is there. We have John Blau from the Post and Courier who covers Clemson on every Monday. And when we talked to him, his take was very similar to mine, which is you enter a somewhat tricky stretch of the schedule here for Clemson, right? Because there's basically a 3-game set coming up after the win over Virginia. There's a 3-game set that aren't against particularly talented football teams, with maybe the exception of Pitt waiting for you.
Pittsburgh's ranked 18th.
Right.
So, I mean, with
the exception of Pittsburgh waiting for you in the 3rd week. But I don't think, like, if you look at them on paper, Pittsburgh's not as talented as Clemson. That's not, I'm not, burning anybody's speakers up with that particularly hot take. The issue with Pittsburgh is that, number one, it is on the road. And more importantly, I think it is on the road after you have a 3-game set against 3 very different teams in 3 very different scenarios, right? You've got Louisville coming to the house this weekend. And this is a Cardinal team that, as has been brought up a couple of times so far, has got a very, very interesting offense that Jeff Brom has put together behind Tyler Schauf. This is a quarterback that is very nearly at 2,500 yards with 20 touchdowns so far. The kid can play. Very interesting running back in Isaac Brown, who is a talented player. But Isaac Brown at 5'9", 190, it's more about the versatility. It's about the fact that they can utilize him in a lot of different ways, which makes it a little bit more difficult to create extra blitzers to try to get after Tyler Schauf. This cat has time in the pocket for Louisville. Ja'Cory Brooks, the number 1 wide receiver, 44 grabs, 800 yards receiving on the season so far for Louisville through 8 games. He's averaging 100 yards per game for Louisville. This is an interesting Louisville Cardinal team. I will tell you that. Again, not that this is anything that should directly tell you how the game is going to go. It just tells you what people think. Clemson's a 10-point favorite in this game, which means obviously Louisville's a 10-point dog in this game. And the majority of the money so far is coming in on a Louisville Cardinal cover. Now, you know me, I'm a big fade the public guy. If I see a line that's bringing in 80+% of the bets, or even somewhere around, 78, 79% of the bets on one side, almost exclusively I bet the other way. Because when the public jumps on a number like that and Vegas doesn't change it in response, it means they're very confident. A lot of the money coming in on Louisville. So on one hand, it says to me the public believes that Louisville can make this a game. But the fact that that number is hanging out at that 10 and not being changed by Las Vegas, it says to me Vegas has a lot of confidence that Clemson is going to be able to successfully cover up that number on Saturday. I right now, I don't have a particularly strong lean either way. I think the 10-point line is a very good line. I'm not worried about the Louisville game. Or scratch that. I shouldn't be worried about the Louisville game. But that's my fear. You're on the road at Blacksburg, Virginia next week. You're heading up to the land where Marty Smith said Holst is the home of what Marty Smith told us earlier in the show, what he believes to be, and granted, he's biased. It's where he's from. Maybe the most intimidating entrance walkout in all of college football when Enter Sandman blares into the night at Virginia Tech. If Clemson is peaking, right? And I don't mean peaking as in hitting the best of their football ability. I mean, if they are looking ahead to that Virginia Tech game, Louisville can shock somebody. This is a team that when they are on, absolutely has the capable of putting a 40-burger up. They did it against Jacksonville State. They dropped 62 on Austin Peay, what they should do. 31 against Georgia Tech. 24 on the road at Notre Dame, a one-score game that Louisville absolutely could have won. SMU was Lonzo's pick to win the ACC this year. One-score game, lost by 7 in a game that was very much down to the limit. I go back to the Virginia game, 24 in that game. They put up 45 against Miami, and there's a lot of people, again, including Marty Smith from ESPN, who didn't join us, who we talked to earlier in the week and played that interview for you. If you missed our interview with ESPN's Marty Smith, it'll be posted on the podcast form sometime shortly after the show goes off the air. Marty Smith said Miami got away with one against Louisville, and I agree with that. Coulda, shoulda, woulda beat the Miami Hurricanes. If they can put 45 on Miami, I do think Clemson's a better team than Miami. That is one thing Marty said I very much agreed with. I think Clemson, at least on paper, is a better football team than Miami right now. But if Louisville can do that against Miami, they can do it against Clemson. So if Clemson's peaking, and again, that's peaking with 2 E's, not an E and an A, and they got caught looking ahead towards Virginia Tech, this can be a scary game. This could be a tricky game against the Louisville Cardinal. I like Clemson to outright win. I don't think that there is an upset L coming. But again, if that sense of overconfidence that I have in this game, if that sense of overconfidence is held by the Clemson Tiger football team in this game, Louisville can surprise you. Louisville can jump up and grab you. So this to me is a big time game for Clemson in that it will prove to me that mentally they're in a good spot. They understand it is game by game. The spot you're in with that loss to Georgia back in week 1, there is no margin for error here. All right. There just isn't. I mean, you can be a one-loss team and still get bumped out of the ACC title game. You could be a one-loss team and in it. And just so we're clear, there is a path for Clemson to lose an ACC game and still end up in the ACC title game. I don't want to roll the dice on that. Do you? I don't want to roll the dice on that. I don't want to be looking at a 5-1 SMU team. I don't want to be looking at an SMU team who also has one loss that is out of conference and be rolling the dice here, especially when you were at a point where, again, tinfoil cap engage. The conspiracy theory that at least it sounds, I'm not going to say that, I'm totally bought into it. I will say I'm not totally bought out of it, that the ACC is maybe protecting Miami a little bit. All right. I do not believe there is a spot where a conference calls a group of officials and goes, hey, we need to make sure that Miami gets the benefit of the doubt. But I do believe that there is an inherent bias. This is part of the reason I'm Team RoboUmp. I do believe there is an inherent bias that some referees may tend to fall victim to that protects all-stars, right? We know it's true in the NBA. We got a name for it, the Jordan rules. We know that it is true when it comes to, say, Duke Blue Devil college basketball. We do know that it has been true for years with, say, the University of Alabama football. That the superstars, the big dogs, the names, the blue collars, or the blue bloods, I should say, they get a little preferential treatment when it's time to blow a whistle or not. I think Miami has been, intentionally or not, a little bit protected by stripes this year, meaning the likelihood Miami is finishing this season with an undefeated record is greater than zero. It's greater than zero. And considering if you are Clemson, you don't get a crack at Miami in the regular season to make up for that. Here's who Miami's got left. Duke, at Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and Syracuse. Y'all, the teams that could take down Miami are off. They're done. They've all lost to Miami. So to me, the race the rest of the way through is one loss, non-conference loss, SMU, versus one loss and non-conference loss, Clemson, for the second spot to who's going to challenge Miami. And again, I'll tell you right now, if you put Clemson and Miami together in the ACC title game, I'm significantly less concerned about inherent accidental biased officiating that benefits Miami, because Clemson has that same star power, has that same probably deserved star treatment. I think Clemson can beat Miami in an ACC title game. What I can't have is Clemson gets tripped up because they're looking ahead to Blacksburg, Virginia, or they're looking ahead to the only remaining ranked team on the schedule, Pittsburgh, 2 weeks away. And Tyler Shuff comes out and throws for 353 tutties and scares you a little bit. Is it a trap game for Clemson? I'll say this. It absolutely meets all the qualifications to be called a trap game. Clemson can prove that they are as mentally solid as we have thought they were the last couple of weeks by getting this one, getting it early, and making sure it's not competitive down the stretch. Then we talk about Blacksburg, Virginia. Let's talk South Carolina, Texas A&M when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Zach, to answer your question about the Solaire trade, I'm fine with it. You add an arm, which gives you a little bit of a pillow if Max Fried does indeed end up leaving the team. I have seen a lot of noise the last day or two that Atlanta may be willing to hand out a $140 million contract to Max Fried. Or at least be willing to be actually in the bidding with the Dodgers and the Yankees and whoever else jumps into that sweepstakes. And then the question mark is Max Fried, does Max Fried want to stay with Atlanta? If Atlanta's willing to give him, because I think part of the assumption that Fried was going to go be a Dodger was going to be that the Dodgers were going to offer a contract that just nobody else was willing to offer because they're willing to burn up cash like that. If the Braves genuinely are willing to play the Dodgers game and hand out bleep you money in a contract, does Max Fried go, yeah, you know what? Like, if the Braves are competitive, I want to stay in Atlanta. I don't know. But if he doesn't, and I am going to, until otherwise, work under the assumption that Max Fried is gone, by bringing Canning over, you've kind of solidified that arm just a little bit, and you've opened up the opportunity to bring some money from elsewhere. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with it. Jorge Soler will obviously always be a Braves icon for his Game 6 home run for sure. But at the end of the day, Jorge Soler ain't the Jorge Soler that he was in Game 6 of the 2021 World Series. So to move on from a fat stack of change when you know that if you're keeping Fried, it's going to be at the cost of a ton of money. And if you're not, then you're going to have to pay some pitchers from elsewhere to come replace him. South Carolina Gamecocks at the Hizzle for Shizzle this weekend as the cult of Texas A&M comes to town. What's your read on this game, Alonzo? You got a Texas A&M team that loves to run the ball with a pair of quarterbacks led by Connor Wegman. You've got a Texas A&M team that under Mike Elko is as if not more disciplined than they ever were during their time with Jimbo Fisher. And we know that they, despite having a hemorrhaging of talent during the offseason via the transfer portal, still have a ton of talent. This is, to me, and I feel like we're saying this at every week, and I hope we're not saying it so much that it is taking away from the weight of the statement, but this to me feels like the most important game Shane Beamer's coached as a Gamecock, because if he's competitive, I'm not even saying win, if he is competitive in this game and he shows that what they built in Oklahoma is now part of the team and not a flash in the pan, then all of a sudden I think the faith and belief that Shane Beamer is the guy like Marty Smith says he was goes to the moon. If South Carolina comes out, they shoot themselves in the own foot and they allow Texas A&M to just beat the hell out of them, I think we're right back to ground zero.
Well, I'm going to go back to, you just talked about Marty Smith, something that he said, if they learned how to finish, because they've been in games, the couple that they've had one
LSU, Alabama,
and they've had one bad game. But if they knew how to finish, those games would have been more than likely South Carolina victories. So I just have a quiet optimism about Saturday, that if the defense can play up to how they've been playing and slow Texas A&M down, it's really up to can South Carolina's offense finally start clicking, because that's been the thing, that's been the problem. It's been the offense, and I don't know if it's necessarily just Sellers needing to and is improving every week, but I think it's the offense. And there's rumors, don't know if it's going to happen, that the goggles might be back, the glasses might be back this week.
The rec specs, I feel like, are the hair of Samson, right? Like, bring that man's rec specs back. Look, I've given you my thoughts, my criticism, my critiques, whatever you want to call it, of Lenora Sellers, who I am a fan of as a dude and as a football player. And I don't put this on Lenora Sellers, but I've said it a couple of times. I'm not seeing the growth I'd like to see out of Lenora Sellers, right? Like, I'm not seeing a football player that in week 9 I can point at and say is definitely better than he was in week 1. I think there are spots where you see the flashes of brilliance. And then there is, and this is not necessarily me saying it, there's a ton of texters over the past couple of weeks that have said South Carolina better put these games away earlier, like they did against Oklahoma, because Lenora Sellers down the stretch in games has not been great. The Alabama game, again, I know we kind of have been beating this dead horse relentlessly for a few weeks now, but you get the onside kick against Alabama that puts you in a position to have maybe one of the greatest finishes in college football history. If you win that game on the road at Alabama the week after getting pounded by Ole Miss, you win that game. That's a game that is being recreated in college football 2025 is a playable situation, right? Lead Shane Beamer's Gamecock, defend the house from the Gamecocks if you're the Tide. Like, that comes down to be one of the most historic finishes in college football history if you do something. And Lenora Sellers, as far as I'm concerned, just made a mistake. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Mistakes happen. But I can't have that mistake. I can't have that mistake in that part. I can't have Lenora Sellers not just wing the ball up over a receiver's head down the sideline and at least give myself one more chance. Instead, he just kind of mortar shells it down the field, and it gets picked off without a Gamecock within 10 yards. I can't have that. So, again, I put a lack of growth. I put a lack of development. I put a, frankly, lack of situational awareness around this kid in his first year at QB1 on the coaching staff. And I, for the record, I think Shane Beamer does too, right? We talked to Emily Adams yesterday. You heard from Marty Smith earlier today. That said, it's driving Shane Beamer mad, these late game mistakes that are being made right now. And I get it. I think I would feel the same way. But I got to have some growth out of the kid. I agree. I agree with that take about Lenoris. I agree with the take about the offense. Here's the thing. South Carolina being on the bye last week, I got to tell you, if I'm Shane, if I'm Dow Loggins, if I'm the Gamecock coaching staff, I hope the entire bye week was spent doing nothing but working with Lenora Sellers. Like, I know you got to work on the offense. You got to get Raheem Sanders better, right? I got to get him more comfortable. Offensive line's got to play better in certain spots down the stretch. I do chalk up a lot of the second half against Oklahoma, which, Lonzo and I both agreed. There was absolutely no reason to throttle down against Oklahoma. And we do agree they both throttled down.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. There was no reason to throttle down. The only reason is in a situation like that you would throttle down is to keep guys healthy, right? Is to keep guys healthy. It's a different story in that game if, say, South Carolina's undefeated and in line to an SEC title game. Then maybe I go, okay, throttle down, like relax. But in that spot, if you're in that position, like a Georgia, like a Texas A&M, you've probably already shown you are SEC championship caliber. South Carolina had not. There's no playoff bid in place for the Gamecocks this year. And if that's the case, and I'm not saying like there's not, like it doesn't exist. There actually is a non-statistically insignificant chance that the Gamecocks need a ton of help, but they're still alive. Realistically, there's not a path to the SEC championship game for the South Carolina Gamecocks. And if that is the case, go hang a 50 burger on Oklahoma, right? Utilize that time. You know what it kind of sparked my memory of just a minute ago? Back on Monday, when we were wrapping up the NFL football weekend, we had a texter that wrote into the show. And the texter was like, why would Sean Payton run up the score against Carolina? Was he like trying to embarrass them? Was he hanging on to some negative emotions from the time that he was the Saints quarterback and this was a rivalry? And my answer was no. Sean Payton hung a 50 burger up on you because the Denver Broncos are in a wild card spot, though it is an outlier. It's a wild card spot in that division, obviously. They're in a wild card spot. And when you get to week 15, 16, 17, 18 of the NFL schedule, you may be in a spot where we have to win. We win this game, we're in the playoffs, whatever. And if that's the case, you need to be able to go to every trick in the book. And to make sure that you're ready to go to every trick in the book, you've got to be able to run the tricks against the NFL defenses in a live situation to go, okay, we screwed up. Why? How do we fix it? How do we clean it up? Whatever. And unfortunately, because the Carolina Panthers are A, bad, and were B, getting their asses kicked in that spot, you just happen to turn yourself into the laboratory with which Sean Payton was able to experiment, right? Well, the opposite should have been true for South Carolina last week. You should have used Oklahoma as the laboratory offensively in the second half that you went out and showed that you've got the capability to run it up, to stay disciplined when you need to. You didn't take advantage of that. So I hope that the off week was spent putting time into Lenora Sellers, running through him different situations, different looks A&M might get, et cetera, basically creating a world where Lenoris is able to feel a heck of a lot more comfortable if you bump into a high-pressure situation. Because, look, if South Carolina ends up competitive in this game, there's no blowout against A&M. I hope I'm wrong. But I do not see a world in which South Carolina is leading by 24 points going into the fourth quarter.
Okay, because you keep saying, if they're competitive, so you don't think they have a shot at winning.
Not that they don't have a shot, but they're a nearly 2-touchdown underdog for a reason, right? Like this is one of the things that I think it's important to do. You can say there's a shot while also recognize it's going to take a special performance to win. What I'm looking for out of this Gamecock team this weekend, what I'm looking for is competitiveness. What I'm looking for is to see a team that is out there that, oh, by the way, just so we're clear, I looked at the line when they were released on Sunday. It was like 5.5, 6.5, depending on the book you looked at. South Carolina +3, which means, and exactly what I said, because you catch three in college football, you can catch up to a full touchdown playing at the house. Vegas thinks you're effectively a touchdown worse than Texas A&M. You're +3. +125 on the money line is not nearly as egregious, as outlandish as I thought the line might be. This was one of the few that I've screwed up this week. I really thought that line was probably going to be closer to Texas A&M -5.5. +3 that's a good line. It's not a good line to bet on. I don't want to bet that line. It's a good line for South Carolina in showing that Vegas thinks you're going to be right in this contest. And if that's the case, what does that mean? What happens in that spot? If that is honestly the case, if you're a 3-point dog, what it says to me is you are going to be in a fourth quarter fist fight. Like I said, I don't think there's a reality in which South Carolina is up coming into the second half like they were against Oklahoma, because that's a bad football team. I think there is a chance this is a one-score game going into the fourth quarter, which means there is going to be pressure on the Norris Sellers in the offense. I need to know that since that Bama game, because there was no pressure, thanks to your defense, there was no pressure at any point in that Oklahoma game. Have you learned from those mistakes? Have you learned how to handle the pressure? And if the answer is yes, South Carolina's got a chance in this game. If the answer is no, it'll be a sad night in Columbia, South Carolina.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
I already lost, but at least I remember to push the button this time. Time to ask Rob what is X, and he's going to tell us why for sure, because he's going to know all this stuff. Why? The first thing that's Xing is Whoppers.
Whoppers. There's so many different ways we could go with this one. Whoppers is trending because
Hooters was also trending, but I'm not using that because it's trending for a totally different reason.
Yeah, I actually hilariously know the reason that Hooters is trending.
Yeah, but we're not going to talk about that because it's too political. Let's go Whoppers.
Oh, no, I saw a different thing. There was a story going around yesterday about a guy that was on some podcast that said that his wife was complaining because she didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom, and so she went and got a job at Hooters, and then he ended up catching her cheating on him like 2 weeks later with a line cook. And he was like, you were staying at home with a guy who's making millions of dollars. You got a job at Hooters because you were bored and it was easy, and then you left me for a line cook. But Whoppers is trending because people incorrectly are complaining about last night getting Whoppers as trick-or-treat candy. I don't know that this is the reason. It's my guess. Whoppers are delicious. Fight me.
See, here's the other thing. Despite our political differences, there are so many things that Rob and I agree on.
Like Whoppers being good.
Which is why the chemistry is so good. Whoppers is it's good. I don't get why people hate them.
There are things I understand the hate. I do like candy corn. I understand the candy corn hate. Okay?
I like candy corn. I don't love it.
Sure.
I'm not going to go, don't put that stuff next to me. If it's, if I need some candy and it's what's available, I'm eating it.
There's two types of people. There are people for whom candy corn is acceptable, and then there are people who despise it, and they make it part of their personality around Halloween time. They despise it. Whoppers, I don't get. Whoppers they're genuinely good. If I'm in a candy aisle, there's as good a chance I'm picking up a mini box of Whoppers as there is anything else.
Yeah, and it's also, and it's not being the contrarian person. Go, well, no one's going to eat the Whoppers, so I know I'm going to have plenty of extra candy. They're good.
Yeah. I like a Whopper.
They are. I don't understand the hatred of the Whopper. All right. The next thing that's Xing is Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey is trending because as it is November 1st and Halloween is past, it is officially time for the Queen of Christmas to arise from her slumber and begin pleasuring our ear holes with the lovely sounds of All I Want Is Christmas Is You.
I need to research this for the Pulse tomorrow, but there were lawsuits against her declaring herself Queen of Christmas. I wonder if those have been settled yet.
Settled?
Yeah, there's two.
Settled.
There's two of them.
It should be outright won by the Queen of Christmas, Mariah Carey.
And who was the queen before her?
Who the hell cares?
Well, I do. Who
the hell cares?
I want to know where the succession came in. I mean, who did someone abdicate? Was she queen by birth?
You know what this is? This is like when some little feudal lord on the outskirts of medieval London once declared himself the king. And like maybe there were a few people in his little fiefdom that were like, yes, all hail the king. And everybody else in medieval Europe was looking and going like, no, dude. You're not the king.
Yeah,
like it's adorable that you think you are.
So Excalibur wasn't involved in the story that you're telling, right?
No.
Okay.
No,
I'm just checking because okay. All right. The next thing it's Xing is Ridley Scott.
Want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing I need. For the record, as much of a Mariah Carey fan as I am, it is too early for Christmas music. It's November 1st. Stop. Public service announcement.
Yeah, can we at least have Thanksgiving?
Can we have Thanksgiving? Ridley Scott is trending because we're getting another Alien movie?
Because he hasn't, like he did the first one. I don't know that he did any other one. So he's looking into doing a new Alien movie. There've been
I'm 3 for 3 on guessing stuff today.
Good job. No. You know stuff.
Well, I know Mariah Carey.
And finally, the last thing is Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson's trending because Garrett Wilson may actually be a wizard after that catch last night. Move over Odell Beckham. We got a new sheriff in town. That's it for us, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey,
Enjoy.
I got one more thing I got to say. Go Buckeyes. All right.
There it is. Enjoy your football weekend, ladies and gentlemen. We will break down all of the action when we return, including that Ohio State Penn State game. That's a night game. So is Texas A&M, South Carolina. Enjoy them all. Oh, that's right. They're stupid and playing the biggest game of the weekend at noon like a bunch of morons. How are you going to have the best game possible at noon?
You're just mad because you're going to be on the air during.
No, I'm not. I'm mad because that should be a night game with a bunch of drunk fans in the stadium. That makes football so much better. Don't drink and drive. Punch you in the face. See you back here Monday on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Later.
No, not today.
Texter said Whoppers taste like dried goat poop after the goat ate 3 gallons of milk and 4 bars of chocolate.
And how would they know what goat poop tastes like? I mean, I love those comparisons, and it always makes you think of Happy Gilmore. But still,
I bought these very nice Italian glasses because I like them a lot, and I bought them because they have the flexi things so that they don't squeeze my big ass head, which I like. The only problem is I can't put them on the top of my head because of the flexi bars. So they don't.
Well, that ruins the whole idea of the look you're going for. Yeah. So, I mean.
All right, guys, I got a jet.
Do you have a sports coat to hang on your finger over your shoulder?
I do. I actually wore one last night that matched the shirt and jeans vibe. And the Chelsea boots to tie it all
I was going to ask if you were going with boots.
Yeah. I had the dress boots last night. I was a snack last night. All right. I was a whole ass vibe last night.
I don't think I've ever referred to myself as that. Maybe someday. It's something to aspire to.
All right, guys. Sincerely, have a great weekend. We appreciate y'all being here as we always do. I don't know why I'm looking over the other cameras right there. Tell your friends about it.
Sniper or something? I mean,
I'm just an idiot and I'm tired and I had a crap day.
Look, there's a goose on the metal thing.